Odyssey Sports Station. Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
And your home for Royals baseball.
Fastball hit high in the air, deep left field, way gone into the bleachers. A two-run homer for Bobby Witt Jr.
Watch The Drive by subscribing on our YouTube channel or listen on demand with the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This show is always going to stand on principles. Dippin' Dots are incredible. Red Lobster is the best restaurant that America has to offer, and baked beans are trash.
You're listening to Kansas City's FM Sports Station, 96.5 The Fan. Here's C-Dot.
Let's do this. Another day, another dollar, another edition of The Drive. You are listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. My name is Carrington Harrison. Excited to be here with you on this wonderful Tuesday. We have a lot to get into in today's show. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we are going to head to Lexington, Kentucky. You might be wondering why. Well, the number one overall high school player in the country, his name is Tyran Stokes. He is going to make his announcement later today on Inside the NBA. He has it down to two schools. It is between the University of Kansas and the University of Kentucky. Now, we'll get to it here coming up in the hits in just a little bit, but he has an NIL deal with Nike. Kansas, as you know, is an Adidas school. So that is the conversation. Where is he going to go? What is he going to decide? The pendulum of momentum in college basketball, I think, is really riding on his decision. We will head to Lexington, Kentucky coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, he's going to be on the show coming up at 3 o'clock. Binkley's going to be in studio for the 4 o'clock hour, talking draft, taking your phone calls. We got you covered, NFL fans, but we do have some big college basketball information to get to. We are going to start with that here coming up in just a little bit. We'll also start with draft. We'll split the lead up just a little bit. But first, I need you guys to do me a couple of favors. Number one, I need you listening to The Drive each day at 2 o'clock right here on 96.5 The Fan. Number two, I need you to tell one friend to check out the show. Number three, and most importantly, it is Tenderloin Tuesday with our friends over at The Other Place. Go in, stop by, grab yourself some incredible tenderloin, grab yourself something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, catch the game, and go see our friends over at The Other Place. All right, Rob, I have to incorporate you into the open today before we head to Lexington, Kentucky. I want to get your opinion on everything because, as I just said, Tyron Stokes, who is the number one high school player in the country, is on the verge of making a decision. His decision, we now know, are narrowed down to two schools. It is narrowed down to Kentucky. It is narrowed down to the University of Kansas. We are going to see the decision that he ultimately makes. Now, I've been doing a little bit of reading on social media for the last couple of minutes, and it would appear no one really seems to know. So for those of you that are deep into the high school basketball transfer portal, there is a social media handle by the name of Trilly Donovan. He is clearly somebody in the know who knows what he is talking about. He put this out 2 hours ago. No one seems to know the exact mechanism, but in recent days, I've been told regarding Tyron Stokes that the Nike thing isn't a factor anymore. A lot of people have been holding on to that. This is a kid who has a NIL deal with Nike. Kansas has a deal with Adidas. The rumors are coming out that he wants to wear Nike on campus. I can understand why Adidas, who gives Kansas a whole lot of money, is not too fond of that idea. So there's been a lot of behind the scenes. I also think that's why this is taking a little bit longer. Now, that's one side of the coin. If you are looking at the other side of it, he is making his announcement on Inside the NBA. As you guys know, that is based in Atlanta through Turner. So tonight in Atlanta, Kentucky's top assistant is going to be there. Shaquille O'Neal's daughter just committed to Kentucky yesterday. Nike, the relationship, all of this. So both sides are feeling very confident about what this kid is ultimately going to decide to do. From everything that I heard, and I certainly don't try to keep my ear in Kansas business. I try to mind the business that minds me. I believe that he is going to Kansas. I do not know this. Nobody has told me this, but just reading the tea leaves, looking at this crystal ball, kind of putting all the information together, I am expecting at 5:30 when he makes this announcement live on ESPN, I believe that he is going to announce that he is going to the University of Kansas. So we're going to head to Kentucky. We'll get a sense from how they're feeling. We're also going to head to Lawrence, Kansas in today's show to get an idea of how they're feeling. But this is a really, really big decision. Just to give you an idea, I was reading Jeff Borzello. He was doing his way too early preseason top 25. He didn't have Kansas in his top 15 because of this decision. If Tyran Stokes doesn't go to KU, they are not doing anything special next season. If they get Tyran Stokes, you absolutely have a chance. You will have the best high school recruiting class. You are going to have a player who people think could be the best player in college basketball next year. You continue to work the transfer portal. You're Kansas, so you got a Hall of Fame head coach. You got the best home court in college basketball. You can very clearly see a path if this kid commits to go to KU. If he does not go to KU, I think it's difficult to see the path of them reaching the standard that Kansas fans are used to. I also feel the exact same way about Kentucky. Kentucky needs this recruit more than Kansas does. Kentucky is not a good program right now. Kansas is not the ideal number one best program in college basketball the way they once been, but they are not down and out like I think Kentucky is. I think Kentucky is one more season that they are having away from firing their head coach. That's not what we're talking about at Kansas. So if you were talking about desperation, I think the desperation is clearly on Kentucky's side and not necessarily on KU's side. But both of these programs, I think, desperately need to get this recruitment. And he cannot play at both schools. He has to choose one of them. We will find out later today what that school is. We'll get to college basketball here coming up in a little bit. So Rob and I did an exercise before the show today. So I wanted to take a look at the last couple of drafts, and I wanted to put the players into 5 categories. So follow me here. It is home run, single, double, triple, and strikeout. Because a lot of times whenever we talk about these prospects, we talk about, hey, they didn't hit a home run, they just hit a couple of doubles. So I was trying to find out, how many doubles have the Chiefs hit in the last couple of years? Because the last couple of great draft classes they had were back in 2022. There's no question about Trent McDuffie, what he turned out to be. George Karlaftis turned out to be a good player. Brian Cook ended up being a guy worthy of a second contract, albeit not in Kansas City, but worthy of a second contract. Joshua Williams had a decent career in Kansas City. Leo Chenal, Jalen Watson, Darian Kennard. Maybe it didn't work out in Kansas City. He's the starting right tackle for the Green Bay Packers. Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco, Najee Johnson. You didn't have many strikeouts there. We can debate whether or not you think this guy's a single or this guy's a double, but they didn't have many strikeouts in the 2022 draft class. You could say that same thing about the 2021 draft class. So I wanted to look at the 2 most recent ones, and we can even have the conversation, Rob, about 2025 and where you would put certain people or what you think the ceiling for them could potentially look like. I don't think they've hit a home run in their last 3 draft classes. If you're looking at their classes, and if you want to go back to 2023, where you got Felix Anudike-Uzama, Rashee Rice, Wanya Morris, Chamari Connor, B.J. Thompson, Keandre Coburn, and Nick Jones, there's not a home run in that draft class. Now, I struggle with what to do with Rashee Rice. I think you could put him in the double or triple category, depending on how you feel. Had a very productive rookie season, injured in second season, suspension for the third season. There's just been a cloud of uncertainty and mystery around Rashee Rice. But for the 55th overall pick, you're not calling that a miss. I also think it's pretty clearly better than a double, but I don't know if you could call it a home run either. Felix, I think you'd have to call that a strikeout now at this point. Outside of that, it's a lot of either strikeouts or potential singles in that draft class. You now go to 2024. Xavier Worthy, Kingsley Suamataia, Jared Wiley, Jaden Hicks, Hunter Norzad, Kamal Hayden, C.J. Hansen. I also don't hear a home run in that draft class. I don't think there's a double in that draft class. If you want to argue that Kingsley Suamataia is a double, I mean, I'll listen a little bit, but his first year was just such a throwaway. I think a single is a fair place to put him. I would also say that same thing about Xavier Worthy. Now, that's not to say that guys can't elevate themselves up the ladder a little bit. But if we are talking about what we've seen so far through their first 2 seasons, I don't know if you can consider any of those players that I just named to be better than a single. You certainly can't do that with Worthy. You can't do that with Kingsley. You can't do that with Jaden Hicks, who does play. We'll see the kind of role that he has on this year's team. I think a single is more than fair. I'm not really willing to listen much more when talking about those guys. I don't know what to do with the 2025 class. I think there is a question mark around every player in the draft class. Now, I'm not ready to put a strikeout really on any of these guys, maybe outside of Jalen Royals. I don't know if they think Jalen Royals can play. Not based on how they used him last season. I'm not confident that that's going to work out. But it's early on. He didn't get a chance to play. I'm not firm on having to put him in the strikeout category. But how that rookie season went, how little he played once the Chiefs were completely out of it, I'm willing to entertain the possibility already that Jalen Royals is just a miss. But everybody else in that draft class, there is just a cloud of uncertainty around. Whether it's Josh Simmons, Omar Norman-Lott, who got injured, Ashton Gillotte, I actually think had one of the better rookie seasons for them, but just didn't really get going to the second half of the season. And that's to be expected with the 66th overall pick. There's a lot of hope and optimism around Noel Williams, but he didn't get a chance to play a whole lot. He certainly is going to get that opportunity this year. Jeffrey Bassa is going to be a potential starter for you. And Brashard Smith, he might already be on the outside looking in. He might already be outside the circle of trust after just one season in Kansas City. If this team is going to get back to its winning ways, if this team is going to pick up where they left off in the dynasty conversation, Rob, they got to go back to hitting solid home runs or triples. That's what put them in the position that they were in for those few years, because they were able to completely knock out the draft. When you go get a Nick Bolton, a Creed Humphrey, a Trey Smith, Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round, a Jalen Watson in the 7th round, I'm talking you're hitting home runs that really help rejuvenate, refresh, and turn over that roster. It is very obvious that these last 2 years, that is what the Chiefs are trying to do. They have completely turned over their defense. You're going to have 5 to 7 new young starters within the first or second year of their rookie contract. At some point with this team, Rob, they got to start turning some of these guys who are question marks or singles. They got to start turning these guys into solid base hits and home runs. That's how you get back to winning Super Bowls. That's how you get back to controlling your division and standing at the top of the AFC. Coming up on the other side, we're going to head to Lexington, Kentucky to learn more about Tyran Stokes. Is he going to Kentucky or Kansas? We'll find out together. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison, the go-to show for dating advice you didn't ask for.
If you got to ask your girl to help on the bill on Valentine's Day, you've done something wrong.
On your home for Kansas City sports, 96.5, The Fan.
Performance matters in intimate moments. Don't let ED ruin them. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and I want to assure you that if you're like the vast majority of guys, you don't have to suffer with ED anymore. In fact, you might be pleasantly surprised at how the right treatments could positively impact your love life. At Heartland Men's Health, our advanced medical therapies go far beyond pills. We have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, and we offer specific and combinative treatments that can dramatically enhance both your performance and your stamina. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a far greater level of intimacy to both you and the one you love, perhaps performing like you haven't in years. So call us today and find out why our advanced treatment strategies offer so much more. Your first visit is just $99 and gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, advanced medical science to improve men's lives.
In digital advertising, everyone talks about clicks, but clicks don't pay the bills. Sales do. Outcomes from Viant is a new way to advertise that prioritizes your bottom line. Our AI-driven technology looks past the noise to find the customers most likely to buy your product. It's smarter, faster, and designed for real-world results. It's smarter advertising made simple. Visit Viant.ai.
Staples presents Celebrations Made Easy.
I was throwing a party for the twins and had custom invites and a banner printed at Staples. And that's when I saw Party City is now at Staples.
Party City? No way!
Yep. So now Staples has all your printing needs and everything you need for a party.
Everything times 2.
Yeah, and now at Staples, save 40% on custom cards, photo gifts, wrapping paper, banners, and more.
Big news! Party City is now at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. In 613, exclusions apply.
Call Hamilton today for our $79 mainline drain cleaning special. The pros at Hamilton will inspect your drains with video camera technology to pinpoint exactly what is needed to clear those clogs and help prevent expensive drain repairs. The expert technicians at Hamilton are ready 7 days a week to solve your problem the right way, the first time. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 5-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton. Visit callhamilton.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions.
License number 2025-11120.
This is one of my favorite times of the sports calendar, and FanDuel is celebrating it right. FanDuel is serving up a happy hour every day of the NBA playoffs. We're talking special drops that you don't want to miss, from profit boosts to bonus bets and more. The best part of this is it's every single day. All you need to do is head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. I absolutely love the NBA playoffs. I'm talking of every day, every night. Incredible basketball played at the highest level by the biggest stars in the game. So it doesn't matter if it's a buzzer beater or it's a series sweep. They got you covered over on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. So whether you're betting the early game or you're getting ready for the prime time, make sure that you open up the FanDuel app and see what's waiting for you today. Go to FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel, an official partner of the NBA and also the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Everything you knew about reaching customers online is being rewritten. Time to rethink your approach. Outcomes from Viant finds real customers, not impressions, not clicks, customers. Our AI maximizes every dollar of your budget against the outcomes that matter most and proves it happened. It's smarter advertising made simple. Visit Viant.ai.
And Doug.
There's nowhere I wouldn't go to help someone customize and save on car insurance with Liberty Mutual, even if it means playing in a football game.
Boom! 42! You're going down, Doug!
Oh, yeah? Your price on car insurance when you customize and save is going down.
Hey!
Limu? What are you doing on their team? Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's Carrington Harrison from The Drive. If anyone knows about sports fans, it's me. I get to live and breathe the excitement of the season all year long. For advertisers, that passion matters. It's exactly why sports radio performs for brands. People who listen to sports on the radio, via streaming, or on sports podcasts are nearly 3 times more likely to consider a brand that supports their favorite team. If you're interested in reaching sports fans, we have the playbook for you. Check out our comprehensive ebook, State of Audio Sports Fandom. Check out stateofaudio.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Welcome to your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
The #1 high school basketball player in the country is deciding where he is going to play next season. It is reported that he has it down to 2 schools. It is between Kansas and Kentucky. Let's head to Kentucky right now to be joined by Vinnie Hardy. He is with the Believe in Kentucky podcast as we await what Tyran Stokes' decision is going to be. Vinnie, happy to have you on the show today.
Hey, appreciate it, Carrington. Glad to be on with y'all, man.
Absolutely, man. So a lot to get to. Let's start with this. What is the sentiment in Lexington? How are they feeling heading into this decision?
I think it's cautious optimism and sometimes maybe I hope I'm wrong mode, because a lot of people kind of have the white flag up thinking he's going to go to Kansas. A lot of that has to do with Mark Pope's track record of not having a dude or ever having recruited a dude. And so, I mean, shooters shoot, and eventually you're going to hit one, but we're still kind of waiting on Pope to hit a shot like that.
We know that the shoe companies matter. Maybe they don't matter as much as they did back in the day. There's been a lot made of the Adidas and Nike sort of rivalry in all of this. How do you think that plays into his decision?
I mean, it plays a factor, I'm sure. I'm kind of with you, maybe not as much. The landscape is constantly changing. But that's a notch to Kentucky's favor. But I still, he's been a KU lean for a long time. Bill Self coming back, delaying retirement, I'm sure that carries a lot of weight. So if he picks Kentucky, great. I hope I'm wrong, because I think he's going to be in Lawrence instead of Lexington.
Vinny, you don't sound very optimistic about it.
I don't, man, and I can't just come and pump sunshine. And like I said, it's a lot. It's all on Mark Pope, man. He's got a lot of things he's got to try to fix. Last year was not good. This third year is huge for him. Landing a player like Stokes would go a long way in getting things fixed for him. But kind of got to look. Y'all in Missouri, he got to show us.
Right now, we're talking to Vinnie Hardy here for a couple more minutes, getting his thoughts on what Tyran Stokes could potentially decide to do. It is between Kansas and Kentucky. What would it mean for Kentucky to get a prospect like this? What would it mean for the program to miss out on this prospect?
If you look historically, if you go back to Rick Pitino comes in 1989, there's the probation, the program is a mess after Eddie Sutton and everything and the scandal. He gets Jamal Mashburn, and that's the building block. You're in the Final Four, those epic games against the Fab Five, the Leitner shot against Duke. He's on the way to building what he built, which led to the championship in '96. Same thing with Cal. They weren't on probation, but had 2 years of Billy Gillispie. You come in immediately with John Wall, boom. You get a stud to build around a guy that's that dude. This would be the equivalent of that for Mark Pope. You have an absolute dog on your squad, and then you can say, okay, here we go. Let's get it going from that point on.
Vinny, I'll get you out of here with this, and I appreciate your time. I haven't had a chance to see him play. I've just seen the highlights. Have you seen him play? What do you make of his game?
He's agile, physical, 6'7", 240, got the grown man body already, a lefty, versatility, durability. It's for a freshman, we just saw a lot of great freshmen come through last year. He would be the same thing this year. And you can just build around a dude like that, a cornerstone to have for a year, apparently clearly one and done. And things feel a lot better roster construction-wise, which has kind of been an issue this past offseason.
That is Vinnie Hardy joining us on the show. He is with the Believe in Kentucky podcast. He does not believe in Kentucky and their ability to get Tyron Stokes. Vinnie, great stuff, man. Appreciate your time.
Hey, appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is Vinnie Hardy joining us on the show. I mean, if I was a Kentucky fan, I would not be hopeful. I would not be optimistic. He sounds very resigned to the fact that Tyron Stokes is going to be playing at Allen Fieldhouse next season and not Rupp Arena. Rob, I didn't get a sense of hopefulness. You came in with a little bit of a bop today. You're excited about this. We're going to have Shrias on the show coming up later today. I expect a very different tone coming out of Lawrence than we just got out of Lexington.
I expect a different tone too. And, you're talking about you don't, run in KU recruiting circles.
I try to stay out of their business.
I don't stay out of that business. I'm very much in that business. I don't know there's a lot of confidence coming out of Lawrence, at least from fans at this point. This has been a very tumultuous up and down recruiting of a player. Like, for an example, at this time last year, AJ DeBansta and Darren Peterson were known commodities. They had put ink to paper. It was done. We knew they were going to BYU and Kansas. We knew Darius, name a top freshman. It has been a long time since the process this dragged out with a player. And, the Nike stuff, there was a second, visit to Kentucky. You mentioned the Kentucky coaching staff and the Atlanta. I think KU fans are worried they are going to get burned today, but all the national outlets say it's quietly Kansas in the lead, but quietly is the big term here because no one seems to actually know what this kid's going to do at 5:30 today.
I think he is a need for Kansas. A lot of times I think there are recruits or guys in the portal that it'd be great if Kansas could get. You know, it's kind of whipped cream on top of everything. It's the cherry on top. That's not how I look at this Stokes team. Now, it's early on in the transfer portal, but a lot of the big fish are out of here. I don't think there's a lot of talent on this Kansas roster, and they still got a whole lot of roster spots to fill, and there's just a measure of uncertainty around things. If you are now going to build your team around this kind of prospect, a guy who could potentially be the #1 overall pick in next year's NBA draft, that just gives you such a leg up over everybody. That's how I see it, Rob. I don't even think this is me looking at it through tiger color glasses. I think Kansas desperately needs to go get Tyran Stokes. Do you see it the same way coming up later today?
I 100% see that. I think we mentioned this on the show. If not, I've talked to Drew about this just in the office. I think if KU does not get Stokes today, I mean, they're still a fine team. Like they're not like a dumpster fire. They're not a 9 seed. It's not, the sky is falling. They're probably a 4, 5, or 6 seed. I mean, they still have a top 5 high school recruiting class. They're probably going to add another kid in the portal. They have Bill Self. They have Allen Fieldhouse. Like, it's a nice season if they don't get Stokes. If you add Tyron Stokes, you might not be national title, Final Four, or bust type of team, but you're probably a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, and you're a team that you're thinking to yourself, hey, if it breaks right in the bracket, we could be in the Final Four. But Sweet 16, Elite 8 become the expectation, not a let's see if it happens. He is a player that can change their trajectory because I believe they have 6 roster spots open right now. I imagine they're in a holding pattern on some kids with the portal until this comes to fruition or doesn't come to fruition.
Text line 913-586-7965. If you guys want to weigh in on Tyron Stokes, we can continue that conversation. Shrias Ladha is going to be on the show. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks. We'll get the Jayhawk perspective of Tyron Stokes coming up in the second hour of the show. Matt Verderame is also going to be on the show. He's going to be on the show coming up in 30 minutes or so. Let's get back to the NFL draft, and let's talk about it from the Kansas City Chiefs perspective. We had Nate Taylor on the show yesterday, and, I mean, this draft, I think, could have went in 2 different directions. With the 40th overall pick, the Chiefs were at a crossroad. They could have went with an edge rusher. They also could have went with a wide receiver. They went the defensive route, which was basically the standard for this year's draft class. Nate doesn't think they ever considered taking a wide receiver at 40.
I really don't. They knew, and I think that's why they stayed at 40. And that's why they stayed at 29. One of the reasons why you take Peter Woods at 29 is there's not going to be another Peter Woods type at 40. So, okay, we're comfortable letting Falk still be on the board because we know Zion Young and or R. Mason Thomas is going to be available to us. Okay, now we have the choice to do that. We take R. Mason Thomas. I think this team is going to try to moneyball the receiver position, which is why they took Cyrus Allen later in the draft.
I would disagree a little bit on the term that Nate uses. Like, to me, the concept of Moneyball is being cheap. Moneyball is trying to do more with less resources. I don't think that's what they've done at wide receiver. They spent a first-round pick on wide receiver. They have spent a second-round pick on wide receiver. Now, I understand it is tight end and it's not wide receiver, but they gave a decent contract to bring Travis Kelce back. I think they have invested in pass catchers. This team, it's interesting to me. I think there are so many similarities between how they have handled the wide receiver room this year as opposed to how they handled the running back room last year. If you remember, I thought the Chiefs were pretty defiant in we are right on running back. And at every single turn, when the Chiefs had a chance to improve the room, the Chiefs told you we think we're fine at every single turn. I just saw this come across my social media feed earlier today. Elijah Mitchell has already been released by another team. Elijah Mitchell signed with the New England Patriots. Subsequently, after the draft, he is now looking for another job. The Chiefs last year got a player in Elijah Mitchell who the league does not think is an NFL player. And then you got Brashard Smith, a guy who just the next year you have completely drafted over. And if this was college football, Brashard Smith would be hitting the transfer portal right now because there is not a clear path for him to be able to get to the field. There are so many similarities in my mind between how they are treating the wide receiver room this year and how they treated the running back room last year. Now, where I would say I think there is a big difference is they did not invest in running back. Getting a 7th-round running back in Isaiah Pacheco, and you had that thing last for as long as it did, was a blessing, especially coming off of the injury. You picked Kareem Hunt up off the scrap heap. You spent the 7th-round pick on Brashard Smith. I think the Chiefs undervalued how important running back is. I don't think you can make that argument about wide receiver. Not when they spent a 1st-round pick on Xavier Worthy, not when they did that with Rashee Rice, not when they spent a mid-round pick on Jalen Royals, not when they spent a mid-round pick in this year's NFL draft on a wide receiver, not in free agency when they went out and got Tyquan Thornton, a guy who has shown you that he can be a decent deep ball threat. Now, they haven't pushed all their chips in the middle of the table at wide receiver the way they did at running back this offseason, but I reject the notion that they haven't tried at wide receiver, that they haven't invested. It's time for Xavier Worthy heading into a season in which the 5th-year option is on the board. It's time for him to put it together. So I understand why the Chiefs decided to continue with the plan, which was to rehaul the defense and start over and not keep throwing resources at wide receiver. Ultimately, the resources you have thrown at wide receiver, those guys got to step up and perform.
Maybe this is how we view the term Moneyball different, and that's fine. But I actually like the idea of what Nate's saying with the Moneyball thing because they don't have, for the baseball analogy, a 30 home run, 100 RBI guy. They are going to recreate that in the aggregate. They don't have Justin Jefferson. They don't have JSN. They don't have Jamar Chase. They don't have that guy. But they believe they have 3, 4, 5 pass-catching options, whether it be from the backfield or tight end or wide receiver, that they can recreate the production of that player and then some. And that's kind of what they did in 2022. Remember, they trade Tyreek Hill, and we all offseason argued, how do you replace Hill? How do you replace Hill? How do you replace Hill? They did not one-for-one replace Tyreek Hill. They brought in MVS. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster. They drafted Sky Moore. They traded for Kadarius Toney. None of those players are an iota as good as Tyreek Hill. But they were getting Tyreek Hill level production by bits and pieces from everywhere, and they won a Super Bowl doing it. So if that's what Nate means by Moneyball, I understand the path. Hey, we hope Tyquan Thornton takes a step forward. We hope Rashee Rice gets back to his 2023 ways. We hope Xavier Worthy takes a little step forward. And yeah, we don't have a 1,500-yard JSN, and we're not going to use a top 10 pick to get a guy like that. But we think through a little bit of this, a little bit of that, we can recreate that in the aggregate. If that's their Moneyball, quote, plan, I don't know if it's the worst because I've seen them do it at wide receiver once successfully.
Someone on the text line sends this in. C-Dot, I agree with you. The Chiefs have told us how they feel about their needs and where they think they are. I don't like the lack of moves at wide receiver, but we'll see who's right come September. Where I would push back just a little bit is I think they've made moves at wide receiver. It is now time for those moves to work out. I think they've made moves. Now, they didn't go out and continue to throw money at it, but I would say that's almost the same conversation we're having about right tackle. Maybe you like Jalen Moore, maybe you don't like right tackle, but they have spent money on a right tackle for this year, and now it is up to Jalen Moore to go out and show and prove. They have spent significant investments at wide receiver. It's now time for Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy to go out and prove it at the absolute highest level. This team needed to start over on that defensive line. They could not continue to be in the cycle of a Mike Pennell, Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu. They had to free themselves from that. They, to me, targeted 2 rooms that they needed to start over, and they pumped a lot of resources into doing it. Now, in the same way that I'm going to hold all these position groups, hey, when you spend the amount of resources on their defensive line and on their defense, you got to start seeing some dividends at some point. I think this is a defense you're going to have to show a little bit of patience towards because of how youthful they are. But in the second half of the season, I think you can start to see a turn with this defense. You should, if you were just basing it on how past Chiefs teams have sort of operated. Let's continue the conversation about the defense. Let's start with Dane Brugler, who covers the NFL draft for The Athletic. one of the best draft experts that's out there. He sat down with Kay Adams to talk about the Chiefs' 29th overall pick, Peter Woods.
Peter Woods will be interesting because he has all the talent in the world. It's just I want to see it more. You know, why are you still a caterpillar and not yet a butterfly? That's my question with Peter Woods, because you do see the talent, and when you grade to the flashes, I understand why he was a first-round pick. Now it's up to those coaches to get the most out of him. He actually had more rushing yards last year than he did pressures, and that's not exactly ideal for a defensive tackle. But again, to come back and get our Mason Thomas, I think they really remade that defense, which is what they wanted to do.
That almost doesn't seem possible.
That stat has to be wrong, right? Like, just what?
He had 2 rushing touchdowns last year. He had more rushing touchdowns last year than Isaiah Pacheco. I understand they played 2 different levels of football. Peter Woods had 2 rushing touchdowns last year. I don't think that stat is false by any means. That is a crazy stat that he was able to do it. Now, this is where I think we are discounting the impact that coaching can have. You know how we say in other sports, there's some things that you can't teach. You can't teach a guy to be 6'10" with a long wingspan. But you know what I can teach you to do? How to dribble. You know what I can teach you how to do? I can teach you how to shoot. So this is based on what we are hearing. This is a guy who has the physical traits and the physical tools. And now it is up to Spags. It is up to that defensive coaching staff to help get you up to par and take what you are, mold that clay, and turn you into a pretty productive player. That's kind of what I look at the back half of the first round as. I understand that might hit your ear funny, but if you're picking with the 29th overall pick, this is kind of how it goes. This is not 6 or 7 or one of those top prospects. You're taking a guy who was maybe a little bit inconsistent in college, but clearly has all of the tools, and now your hope is in your system, in your scheme, in your building with your coaches, you can get the most out of that player and the most out of his ability. And your defense is depending on it. That's a great quote to me. Is he a caterpillar or a butterfly? Can he transform into something that you can use, something that you can build around, something that is a critical piece in what you are trying to build? Time will tell. That was Dane Brugler. Let's play what Steve Palazzolo had to play. He's with the 33rd team. Here's what he had to say about Peter Woods.
The players who have a better career than a final season, meaning they disappointed in their final year, they actually perform better at the NFL level than players who went the other way and had a final season peak, who had a one-year wonder, the one-year wonder that I talk about. So in this class, the one-year wonder types are guys like Skylar Bell from Connecticut or Zion Young, where a big chunk of their production came at the very end. Those are guys where the data actually says more buyer beware, and players like the Peter Woods and TJ Parkers of the world, who maybe peaked early, actually become a good buy low. So we'll see how it all plays out. I get the reasons why he fell to 29, and I get that I would rather see better testing numbers, and I would rather have seen better final year production. But I think it's a good move for Kansas City here at 29.
That was Steve Palazzolo with the 33rd team. I want to go back a little bit, and I want to read this text to you guys. C-Dot, it will be week 10, and we will be complaining about the wide receiver room, so I hope you guys are ready to eat your words when that happens. Get Pat help, ! Here's my question. Now, I want you guys to know that we are all on the same team here, and I'm all for getting Pat help. How much more help do you think Patrick Mahomes needs? Because if we are going off what they have actually done, they have significantly invested in their offensive line around Patrick Mahomes. First-round picks, big-time contracts. You can't really throw more resources into your offensive line than the Chiefs have. They got a left tackle that everybody loves. People think they got the best center in the league. They got the best right guard in the league. And they have an emerging left guard, and we'll figure out what Jalen Moore is. They have spent a first-round pick on a wide receiver. They have spent a second-round pick on a wide receiver. The Chiefs had the chance to go younger and cheaper at tight end, but everybody wanted to bring back their favorite tight end. They brought him back, who still played at a top 5 level last year. The number one needed free agency was then for them to go out and get a running back. They got the best available free agent running back. So I understand the concept of get Pat help. Pat doesn't have enough. I mean, Pat has more than what Josh Allen has. Is that fair to say? The Chiefs have more talent than what Buffalo has on offense. I think the Chiefs have more than what Bo Nix has. The Chiefs have more than what Drake May has on offense. Drake May doesn't have the running back that they have. He doesn't have the tight end that they have. Patrick Mahomes has better receivers. He has a better offensive-minded head coach. He's got a better offensive coordinator. Never mind. You know what? They got Josh McDaniels. Never mind. Let me change that. But yeah, this get Pat help. I understand the philosophy of it. Pat has more help than just about a majority of these AFC quarterbacks that we are discussing. You would not trade the Chiefs skill position players for Denver's. You would not trade the Chiefs skill position players for New England's. You would not trade the Chiefs skill position players for Buffalo's skill position players. Pat has enough help this season going into it. It is about him. It is about Andy. It is about them figuring it out, figuring out how to be cohesive and get the most out of their team. But I can only speak for me. I will not be pressing the button of they should have done more. They should have got Pat more help. No, they've given Pat a lot of help to go out there and have success this year and get this thing back on track. We got Matt Verderame coming up at the top of the hour. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Dusty Likens, and you know baseball's back. BetMGM, the official partner of Major League Baseball, is bringing the high heat all season long. All season long, you can log into the BetMGM app and receive top-tier promos that put you in the batter's box and up the excitement for America's pastime. Step up to the plate all season with Swing for the Fences, the free-to-play game where chances to win. Download the BetMGM app. Existing customer offers subject to eligibility requirements. Please gamble responsibly.
Hi, I'm Jacob, your friend and an actual jeweler at Chain Company. I'm proud to work for a family business that's been committed to the highest quality standards for nearly 100
years. You're sitting down. Enroll with Matt. Has 0 outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower costs than most Obamacare plans. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you are a small business owner or pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive. Call Matt B. in KC for an instant quote over the phone at 816-205-4664. That's 816-205-4664. Or go to bbsinsurance.net. That's bbsinsurance.net. They will customize a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government.
Over time, your home's exterior takes a beating. You might notice faded colors or peeling paint. You need to call my friends at CertaPro Painters, whether you're thinking about the inside or outside of your home. Their free estimates are detailed and easy to understand, and you'll get a quote right away. Ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th. And remember, each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in KC. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a hospitality manager at a 5-star hotel.
So I just checked into room 318, but someone was in there.
Room 318. Oh, you were supposed to be booked in 813, which is now booked.
So what do we do?
How about rock, paper, scissors for who gets the bed?
This is a job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
This is Modelo Especial, a full-flavored golden lager with a crisp, refreshing taste from start to finish. Brewed with time, effort, and determination to get the balance just right. Because when a beer is made right, you can feel it. Modelo Especial, the model for everyday beer. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
This afternoon, expect cloudy skies with a chance of rain and a high of 60.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Epic parties start at Staples. Now you can grab Party City balloons, decorations, and tableware, plus matching custom invites, banners, and more right at Staples. That was easy.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Vinnie Pasquantino. Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan.
Text line 913-586-7965. So there was someone that sent a text. We were talking about the wide receiver room and how the Chiefs have just put a lot of trust into their wide receiver room, and it's time for guys to step up. Someone texted in the show and said, C-Dot, it will be week 10 and we will be complaining about the wide receiver room. So you guys better be prepared to eat your words when that happens. Get Pat help. I just would argue that I think the Chiefs have given Pat more than enough help, and now it's the Chiefs' responsibility to get the most out of their talent. I don't think we can say that the Chiefs don't have resources on the offensive side of the football. They definitely have spent them. Those guys have just underperformed. Now, with Eric Bieniemy, whom everybody told me that Eric Bieniemy was the right person for the job and how great their offense was when they got him and how they were ready to get rid of Matt Nagy, it's now time to put some hustle behind that muscle. Someone replied and said, to the other texter's comment regarding help, I think the point is that the Chiefs have not spent money on a known commodity aside from Kelsey. Draft picks aren't always going to equal to production. That is a very fair point. I would contend that they spent money to go get the best available running back. If you're not counting on getting contributions from your draft picks, then this plan has failed. The reason that the Chiefs were able to get the dynasty going was because they turned a known commodity into draft picks and then subsequently hit on those draft picks. So when you get a chance at a first-round pick and then you move up to go get Xavier Worthy and he misses, you see the ripple effect that it has on the rest of the roster. When you spend a second-round pick on a guy like Rashee Rice and he can't stay on the field or he can't stay out of trouble, it reverberates through the rest of the team. This year, now let me knock on wood here, but everybody should be coming into this season healthy and motivated. Just think about their key guys. Kenneth Walker, you just won Super Bowl MVP for a team. They basically told you, we're not interested in having you back. Thank you for your service, but we no longer need you. We are just going to draft your replacement. I don't know about you, but that would have me put a little bit on my chip on my shoulder. You guys have completely turned on Rashee Rice. In a 6-month span, he went from better than Amon-Ra St. Brown to you guys were ready to trade Rashee Rice 7 weeks ago. So we have seen a Simone Biles level flip when it comes to Chiefs Kingdom for Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy, I don't know where you guys sit on Xavier Worthy right now, because I feel like if I called him a bust, people would then be saying you're being too harsh on him. But then no one seems to think that he's going to turn his career around, which then makes him a bust, which feels like we are just running in some kind of hamster race. Travis, they got guys, they got weapons, and they got pieces. So now, at least to me, from my point of view, it is now up to Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, and Patrick Mahomes to make the most out of their situation. Because for the most part, this is the team. Maybe they go get Tyreek Hill, but now we're counting on a 30-year-old coming off a significant leg injury. There is no more help coming for the offense until the middle of October at the absolute earliest. This is the team. They better figure out a way to make this thing work with all of the pieces that they have invested in over the last couple of years.
I am probably a person who feels like the Chiefs should have done more at wide receiver and should have taken bigger swings at wide receiver. I probably fall a little bit into that camp, but I don't think the Chiefs are failing to invest in Patrick Mahomes. I think it's somewhere in the middle. If one person is saying they have invested, it needs more, and one person that hasn't invested at all, the reality is in the gray. To your point, they have added real investment at wide receiver, but Carrington, they only do it once a draft. We can look back to the Xavier Worthy draft. How many receivers and pass catchers did they draft that year? One. Adding one is not enough. You got to take multiple dart throws. This year, the Chiefs had 9 draft picks. 9. How many pass catchers did they draft? None. I think you can be wanting them to do more at pass catcher, but I also can think simultaneously it's not like they've done nothing at the position. I think right now they are getting a C+, and you're like, hey, I know you're smarter than this, do more, but they're not failing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I guess with this, text line 913-586-7965, CDOT, you're forgetting that the Chiefs don't have a true number one wide receiver. Denver just picked up Jalen Waddle. Buffalo just picked up DJ Moore. Rashee Rice is a wide receiver 2 at best. I think we are completely overvaluing what DJ Moore is. DJ Moore last year, he had 682 yards, and he wasn't the number one wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. 2 years ago, he had 98 catches for 966 yards. I guess the point I'm making is I think the Chiefs have this receiver already on their team. This is who I think Rashee Rice is. This is the category that I think he is in. Now, I like Jalen Waddle more than I like Rashee Rice. He's just been a more consistent player. But looking at Courtland Sutton these last couple of years, Courtland Sutton's been fine. Like, you're telling me this year you don't think that Rashee Rice could have 74 catches for a little over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns? That's basically the pace he was on last year if he wasn't suspended. I think all of these goals for Rashee Rice are very, very obtainable. And maybe that's just where I'm different than most people. I think about Rashee Rice. Now I think people are jaded because of the off-the-field things and are not forgetting that when he's been healthy, he has been Courtland Sutton. He has been DJ Moore. He has been Chris Olave. He's been in that group of wide receivers. The issue is he's either been hurt or in trouble. The hope is, and let me knock on wood, I feel like that's always important to say when having this conversation, the hope is that he can just stay out of trouble for the next 4 months, get you to St. Joe, and you're ready to go. But I will continue to say that. I hate that it's crazy that I've become now the apologist for Rashee Rice. This is certainly not the position that I signed up for. If you believe in contract year is undefeated, how can you not believe in Rashee Rice heading into this season? How could you not believe in Xavier Worthy heading into this season, who could financially benefit by putting a good season together for the Kansas City Chiefs? They got 2 guys that need to ball out to get paid on the field this year. I think the Chiefs have a comparable running back. I think they have a better wide receiver room than what Buffalo is going to have, and they have a better and more consistent tight end, and they have invested more consistent tight end, and they have invested more in their offensive line than what Buffalo has invested. On their offensive line than what Buffalo has invested. If you think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, Josh Allen, if Josh Allen was the quarterback of the Chiefs, they'd have a top 2 that Meg Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson are no longer dating each other because she said that he is a cheater. Did you know this? I had Stallion and Klay Thompson. Those are very, very big topics in my America. So, Rob, a lot of people on my social media feed are saying that Klay Thompson had no juice. No one knew who he was before Meg Thee Stallion appeared.
Thompson before Meg Thee Stallion. We didn't know Stephon Diggs before Cardi B. And while these guys have more money than these girls have social and global influence. Meg Thee Stallion made Klay a global star.
Okay. All right. You know what? I don't need to play anymore. I think you got it. Rob, is that what we're doing with Klay Thompson? Future Hall of Fame basketball player Klay Thompson. Now, Klay Thompson might not be the best boyfriend in the world. And I think we know enough that Klay Thompson struggles with the monogamy. But you know one thing he's never struggled with? The jump shot. 4-time NBA champion, 5-time NBA All-Star, all defense before. He's won an Olympic gold medal. He is going to the Hall of Fame. People knew who Klay Thompson was before he started dating Meg Thee Stallion. I just want to go ahead and put that out there. He's one of the 5 greatest shooters in the history of the world. We got Matt Verderame coming up next. We'll break down the draft. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan. When severe weather hits, tune in to 98.1 KMBZ for Operation Stormwatch. Brought to you by Century Roofing. Proudly voted the #1 roofing company in all of Kansas City. CenturyRoofingKC.com.
And Doug, There's nowhere I wouldn't go to help someone customize and nowhere I wouldn't go to help someone customize and save on car insurance with Liberty Mutual, even if it means sitting front row at a comedy show.
Hey everyone, check out this guy and his bird. What is this, your first date?
Oh, no. We help people customize and save on car insurance with Liberty Mutual together. We're married. Me to a human, him to a bird.
Yeah, the bird looks out of your league anyways.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Spring is here, and as the weather heats up, the sports action heats up at Circus Sports. From baseball to basketball to hockey, Circus Sports has it all. Circus Sports isn't just sports betting, it's sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, player-friendly pricing, and exceptional customer service. Whether you're looking for playoff futures or props on your favorite players and more, Circus Sports has you covered. And don't miss out on the special Royals props for every game. Download Circus Sports app or visit circusports.com today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
DQ presents the $7 meal deal. A delicious meal serving up serious value. We're talking 100% white meat, seasoned chicken strips, full-size fries, a drink, and of course, a classic DQ sundae. Because come on, no meal is complete without a sweet treat. All for just $7. And now you can try it with the new honey sriracha dip. The DQ $7 meal deal. A satisfying meal full of big flavor for a great value. DQ, happy tastes good.
Man, if your stream isn't as strong as it used to be, or you're taking more breaks to the bathroom than the seventh inning stretch of a televised baseball game,
We'll be back after this.
it's time to get checked. An enlarged prostate or BPH could be the cause, and Kansas City Urology Care is here to help. Fast answers, trusted care. Don't wait. Come see Kansas City's largest, most experienced, and most advanced urology team. Visit kcuc.com today. At KCUC, you see the best in KC.
For all the things you have to do and places you need to be, let Uber take you there. Because you had just one more 3 rounds ago. Because the 5 a.m. flight seemed like a good idea at the time. Because check engine lights always appear at the worst possible times. And because parking downtown is a nightmare. Because there are nights out, airport trips, and car troubles in your area, there are drivers in your area. Uber. Request a ride today. Wait time varies. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had life insurance. Ethos made it so easy. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. 100% online, no medical exam. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the space to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. ethos.com/game. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Now that Wendy's has these new biggie deals, everyone in the family can get what they're craving, from nugs to JBCs. The parental units can get an $8 biggie bundle, the eldest who think they're so grown can get a $6 biggie bag, and the little one who can do no wrong can get a $4 biggie bites. You know, assuming they have a credit card. No, I'm kidding. We take cash too. 4, 6, and $8 biggie deals for the whole family. Only at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
Rob Sight Ford, KC's Ford volume leader and top rated on Google. 135th and State Line. Rob Sight Ford, your 2025 Ford volume leader. Top rated on Google with 4.8 stars and 3,000 plus reviews. The best selection, best prices, and Kansas City's best customer service. Visit Rob Sight Ford at 135th and State Line. Buy right, save big, and drive home a winner. Only at Rob Sight Ford.
Hey Royals fans, it's Seth Lugo. Don't miss Vern's On Deck show 1 hour before first pitch right here on 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
We're going to be joined by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated here coming up in a little bit, taking a closer look at the Chiefs draft. The Chiefs select Mansour Delane with the 6th overall pick. They also get Peter Woods with the 29th overall pick. And then the Chiefs just really pepper the board with defensive picks the rest of the day. Let's go to the phone lines right now to be joined by Matt Verderame to get his thoughts on the Chiefs draft. Matt, how you doing, my man?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So we had Mitch Holtis on the show yesterday, and I asked him this question. I'll ask you the question. I asked him to give us one word to describe the Chiefs draft. The word that I used was refresh. They have completely gone in and completely refreshed that defense, and they are starting over with a younger, more athletic defense. That's the word that I would use. What word would you use?
Yeah. Yeah, athletic. I mean, I even wrote that this weekend. Look, defensively, they're a weird team because if you didn't watch them last year and you just look at box scores and you look at ratings, they were good. But when you watch them last year, they were not good. I think with the counting stats were bailed out by the fact that no team had fewer possessions. Like the Chiefs just played, like most teams, Ray out there maybe only watches Chiefs, doesn't watch the rest of the league. Most teams, they get 10 to 12 possessions a game, usually 11 to 12. The Chiefs had a bunch of games last year, they had 8, 9. Like they just don't, because they're not explosive, and so they held the ball for a long time. Well, obviously, if you're doing that defensively, you're not going to be on the field for as many drives. They needed athleticism. I would argue specifically in front set, where other than Chris Jones, who's athletic? I mean, George Karlaftis is a good football player, but he's not overly athletic. Noddy, Hillary last year, I mean, it was brutal. They couldn't move. Gelati's not really an athletic guy. Now, all of a sudden, you add in Woods, who's a very athletic D tackle. R. Mason Thomas, who is everything that they normally don't go after. Smaller, shorter arms, but really fast, 240 off the edge. Like they decided clearly they were going to try to get themselves players on defense who can cover more ground, who can be more explosive. Delane fits that role. Kennedy fits that role in the back end. So, look, I think you are going to see a defense, to use a very tired phrase, it's going to fly around more defensively than they did a year ago.
I'm big on getting your guy, and when you have a top 10 pick, you go get the top 5 players that you love. I think that's what the Chiefs did. A lot of people have debated the compensation they use. I don't care about that as much. No one remembers that 5-6 years from now. They only remember the pick. They only remember the productivity of that player. I love the Delane trade. I love the attitude. What did you make of them going up to 6 to go get him?
Yeah, you and I are lockstep on this one. Look, I understand that by most of the charts they gave up a fifth, that like by chart value they shouldn't have or didn't have to. Here's my counter to that. It's a 5th round pick in a draft that everyone in the world thinks stinks after the 75th pick. Who cares? Like if I'm the Chiefs, I don't care. I don't. Look, the 3rd round pick, sure, it's probably right on that border. I mean, we just top 75. It was a 74th pick. So like, okay, that's a real pick. But if I'm Kansas City and I think Delane is a Pro Bowl to all pro level corner, I don't care. I want that guy. And for everyone who sat there, and look, I've had a billion people tweet at me and DM me, hey, but are they going to keep him after 4 or 5 years? I don't know. Who knows? But if they get 5 great years out of him and then turn him into 4 draft picks, like they did with McDuffie, you really going to complain about it? Like, I think it's a pretty good return. And if they sign him long term, he's there for 8 to 10 years. That's awesome. And you've got a great pick. So, look, I will say this. The hit rate on top 10 corners is tremendous. There are no red flags. That guy can play every position. I wrote about him before the draft. He was a top 5 player in the draft for me. I thought he was up there with Love, Reese, Bailey. You know, I actually thought they were going to take Bain when they moved up, but I think that Delane's a cleaner prospect. So I don't have the concern that you do with Bain with the arms, whether or not that's something that's important, we'll see. But look, he's going to step in day one, immediately be, what early should be, their best corner and one of their best defenders. And so if I'm the Chiefs, yeah, you don't want to give up 74, but I don't have a problem with it. If that guy turns into a really good player, that's well worth it, the trade.
Maybe this is me just reading too much into the report from Albert Breer. I'm not sure if the Chiefs were as high on Ruben Bain as we think they were on. At least according to his report, it sounds like it was between Delane, Caleb Downs, and Jordan Tyson. I didn't see Bain's name mentioned.
No, look, they said in their post-game presser, I should say, that Brett Veach said that, you know, Reese and Bailey were 2 guys that they were really following. And I believe, if memory serves me right, they mentioned Carnell Tate as well, but I know they mentioned Bailey and Reese. Listen, I think if you're the Chiefs, you know, the hard thing is if you view Reese as an edge rusher, then if you're trading up and getting Bain at 6, or even if you got him at 9, you're taking by board the 3rd best edge rusher in the class. Now, obviously, he may turn out to be the first. Who knows? May turn out to be the 10th. But you know when you're taking Delane, you're taking the best corner. I mean, there wasn't another corner that went off the board until 27. And that was the only other corner that went off the board in the whole first round. Like, the drop-off from Delane to anybody else is massive. I mean, if Jermon McCoy was fully healthy, then there wouldn't have been as big a gap, obviously. But he's not healthy, or at least we don't know if he's healthy. I think a big part of that, too, was they were pretty transparent, as Veach usually is when he talks. Like, they thought the deepest position group in that draft was edge rusher. And I can tell you from talking to other teams, that was a pretty widely shared opinion. I think they looked at it like, get the corner or the receiver now. They ended up going corner. And then we'll find a pass rusher either 29 or 40, and they did, with Thomas at 40 and Woods to a degree at 29. So, look, the biggest thing coming out of this draft, they should be much better defensively. Walker from free agency should make them better offensively. The big question is, who's playing receiver for this team? Because right now, you got three guys, but all of them have an injury history. One of them's tiny. The other one in Rice, you never know what's going to happen day to day with him off the field. Like, they are one injury or one suspension away at receiver from a catastrophe.
Right now, we're joined by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, getting his thoughts on the Chiefs draft. Are you surprised that they didn't really spend many resources this offseason on wide receiver?
Yes and no. Yes, from the standpoint that it is very obviously a problem. Like, I don't think anybody in their right mind would bet. Like, if I said to you, so between Rice, Worthy, and Thornton, it's possible that they play a total of 51 games. If I said to you 40's the over-under, would you take the over or would you take the under?
I would take the over for this reason. You got two guys who it is in their financial interest to have a great season. We know how this works. You and I have followed the NFL for too long. Rashee Rice is in a contract year. Xavier Worthy is trying to get that fifth-year option picked up by Kansas City. Shockingly, guys just always seem to put it together when the money's on the line.
No, it's fair. It's fair. But, I think 40's probably it's going to be right around it. So you've got to figure out. Let's say that the three of them combine to play in 41 games this year. Let's say that means there's 10 games that one of those guys are not in. You've got to find somebody. And I think, free agency, they were kind of limited in the amount of big splash signings they could make. And I think they were correct in saying we have got to get a running back in here. We have got to get somebody. And they did that. To their credit, they I think, got the best guy. In the draft, again, you have 4 holes and 3 early picks, and I think it's just the way the board went, that they just went all defense, and I don't blame them. I think they got 3 guys who it's really hard to argue against any of them. Woods is a weird guy because he had a bad year last year compared to what he did in 2024. But there were people going into the college football season thought he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft this year. I mean, so the talent's off the charts. And I just think they got to a point where it was like, look, there's no reason to take wide receiver 20. It's just we're not going to force it. But I really do think between now and camp, they've got to sign somebody. Whether that is Diggs, if his off-the-field stuff is good, whether that is Tyreek Hill, if he can play, who knows, whether that is Keenan Allen. They are going to have to get somebody because you can't go into camp and have Jalen Royals as wide receiver 4. I mean, that is just – you have no idea what you're getting out of him or Cyrus Allen. It's a very tenuous position to be in.
So, Matt, if I told you that the Chiefs only signed one of these two guys, would you rather sign Cam Jordan or Tyreek Hill?
Is Tyreek Hill healthy?
Moderately.
Huh. I would probably sign him, not because I think Cam Jordan is the safer bet. He's to my money, he's a Hall of Famer. Okay, but I at least feel like if they had to play tomorrow, you got our Mason Thomas in there, who look, he's a rookie. You don't know what he's going to be, but I think he's going to be pretty productive. I like his talent. You've got Karlaftis, who you know what he is. You've got Jones. You've got Woods. Gelati can rotate in, and I think his rotational player is fine. It's not unbelievable. I'd like to have one more guy, but I feel like they can, especially with the way they blitz, they can kind of live with that. They are one injury away at receiver from I have no idea who's playing. You have just no clue who's out there. And Hill, if you said to me he can play he's got to miss September, but he can play the rest of the year. All right. I mean, and the other side of that too is like maybe he's not the same player, or maybe he's Tyreek Hill and he puts up 1,000 yards in 12 games. So I would sign him, but I would do it knowing that there's a world where he just doesn't play, or he's a shell of himself. Like I also wonder with this team, the way their history is, would they trade what is going to end up being absolutely nothing for Brandon Ayuk? Would they do it? I mean, his base salary this year is $1.2 million. He's 28 years old. Now, I have no idea where he is mentally with his headspace. I mean, he has been like MIA from the Niners. Who knows? But it's what the Chiefs have done in the years where they have found guys who they feel like are depreciating assets, former first-round picks. Like, we'll take a chance on that guy. Who knows? But I think they got to do something.
What's going on with Juwan Jennings? Why is he still available?
I think in the beginning, like happens often in free agency, we see this every year with a couple of guys. Their market is not what they think it's going to be. They think, or their agent thinks, to be more accurate, that it's going to be. And I don't know that this is the case with him, but let's just say, I'm going to get 3 and 60, and so, well, no, you're not, because you're not a guy who's going to line up on the outside and create explosives and have 1,000 yards and 1,200 yards. You're not going to do that. You're a really, really good possession receiver. You're awesome on third down. That's what he became famous with the Niners for. But I think once the market cooled and he was kind of that guy left without a chair, it becomes tough, because then you have all these teams who are like, yeah, we already spent our money. And we're just going to wait for the draft, because now we can get cheap talent at that position. And so now, like, he's got a visit, I believe, lined up this week with Minnesota. If you're him, like, is that where you want to go? Like, you have quarterback questions and you're behind Jefferson and Addison. Although it also begs the question, if you were to sign a larger deal, I don't think you will, but let's say he signs for 2 years of meaningful money. Jordan Addison, like, is he expendable? Does he become available? Because that's been a rumor for a year now that he may not get a second deal in Minnesota. But I think if you're the Chiefs, there is no bigger priority. There's no bigger priority than finding somebody who you can add into that depth chart at receiver, even if just 1 year deal, which is I'm sure what it's going to be at this point, and you feel decent about it.
Right now, we're talking to Matt Verderame here for a couple of more minutes. The Peter Woods move, to me, is more interesting from the viewpoint of what they didn't do versus what they did do. I mean, if you look at the next 3 picks, right after them, Omar Cooper goes off the board. We're talking about wide receiver. 2 picks after that, an edge rusher comes off of the board in Keldrick Falk. 3 moves after that, Seattle, who lets Kenneth Walker go, who the Chiefs pick up, they then go find his replacement, the second best running back in the draft class. We can talk about Woods specifically as how you think he factors into Kansas City, but I'm much more intrigued that there was varying options that Kansas City could have chosen, but they chose Peter Woods.
I think it's for a few reasons. And I don't know this for a fact. It's my opinion. But I think it's, number one, Chris Jones is still fantastic. I mean, he had 7.5 sacks last year. He could have had 10. He had quarterback hits up there with anybody in the league at D tackle. That being said, he's in his early 30s. And we all know that Father Time's on the field. At some point here, he's not going to be the same player. Maybe he'll still be good, but he's not going to be just a game wrecker that he's been for a decade. So I think they're looking at it going, okay, look, Tonga's a run stuffer, but we don't have another guy. I like Omar Norman a lot, but I think he's more of a rotational guy. Bring him in on third down. I think they look at Woods like, look, if he works out, he can play all 3 downs. Secondly, I think it's a bet on the talent. Like, if you watch his 2025 film, he's good. He's good, but he's not overwhelming. If you watch his 2024 tape, and I know this is blasphemous, he looks like Chris Jones. I mean, it is just unbelievable how dominant he was in 2024. There are times as a defensive interior rusher, he wasn't touched. He would just knife through a gap and just crush somebody. And I think they kind of looked at it like, this guy with Joe Cullen and Steve Spagnuolo and Chris Jones, like, if we get the 2024 version of him, we have the best interior defensive line of football. And now, look, you got to get that. And they may not. They may get a version that's watered down, and he's fine, and he's okay, but he's not, he's not dominant. He's not going all pros. It is interesting, though, with Cooper. I thought they might take Cooper there. Obviously, they chose not to. And that's going to be one of those picks. Like every draft, there's one or two slots that kind of define your draft where you could go left or right. And which way do you go? Like I think it's 6. You know, it's going to be, hey, they took Delane over Bain in a lot of people's minds. They took Delane over Tyson. Was it the right pick? Well, they took Woods over Cooper. They could have taken Cooper there. They could have taken Denzel Boston there. They didn't do it. Is that the right pick? We're going to find out in about 2 or 3 years. But it is interesting. I agree with you that they decided to go that route instead of adding a weapon for Mahomes in the boundary.
You could also argue that same thing happened at 40. They chose R. Mason Thomas. They could have went with Cassius Howell, who went to Rockhurst High School, or they could have went Zion Young, who went a couple of picks later, played at Mizzou and went to the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, almost that same situation popped up just a few picks later.
It's funny because when that was all unfolding, I was thinking to myself, I think they're going to take Young because they've shown a proclivity to draft local guys. They kind of like to do that. I mean, they took FAU, obviously, over the years. I mean, they took Mitch Morse. They took Nick Bolton. They've done that. And not to say they played favoritism necessarily, because a couple of those guys ended up being really good football players. But they've always kind of had that, it feels like, in the back of their mind. Like, hey, if there's a tie, let's go that way. And Young fits more of the guys they've drafted over the years. You know, bigger edge, not as athletic, but, you know, more of a force guy. And I figured Howell at 250, who you mentioned, you know, is a KC native. I'm like, okay, if they're going to go with a smaller guy, which he probably won't. He's 250. It's not that small. And he's from there. And he's been really productive. I was shocked they drafted R. Mason Thomas. I mean, he is everything that they don't normally draft. 240, fast as lightning, but not a big run-stopping edge. Like, I was stunned, but pleasantly so, because frankly, I think they need to kind of catch up with the times with that. But I thought if were going to go a little bit smaller than normal, they were going to go Howell. And Howell ended up going to the next pick to the Bengals. And then afterwards basically said, like, well, I don't want to be a Chief now. Of course not. Don't blame him. Yeah, you're right. I mean, again, those picks, it will define that draft class. If they nail them, everybody's going to look back and say, what a genius Brett Veach is. And if they whiffed, and Howell turns into a guy who has 12 sacks a year with the Bengals, everybody's going to look back and go, how could you not have taken that guy? It's the nature of it.
I got 2 final questions for you. Question number 1, who is your favorite draft pick for the Chiefs once you get past 40? Those were the 3 premium positions. Then there was a big gap in the selections for Kansas City. What's your favorite draft pick after 40?
My favorite player, just in terms of the guy, I think Emmett Johnson's really good. The guy I think other than the guys in Notre Dame, you can make a really strong case. He's the best running back in the class. He's shifty. Top-end speed isn't crazy, but he's fast enough. He's got good hands. He's caught 85 balls the last 2 years. So I like him, but I think he's going to have like a third down, Jarek McKinnon type role. Kennedy's interesting to me, the nickel back who can also play some safety out of Oregon. You know, he's a guy who plays a little bigger in his size. You know, he played well against guys like Mekhi Lemon last year at USC. He just kind of fits what they do. Like, he does a lot of different things. I could see them easing him in a little bit with Kohu, who they brought in, who's a pure slot corner. But I found it interesting after years of having Trent McDuffie and constantly being like, well, we're going to play him outside so Tamari Connor can play inside, which, of course, did not go particularly well. It's almost like they doubled down on that. So, like, that is not going to happen again. Like, we have Kohu, we've got Kennedy. Like, we're gonna put these 2 guys in there. I think he's a really interesting fit for Spags' defense.
Matt, are you surprised they doubled back at running back?
A little, but I feel like the value was really good there. Some people thought Emmett Johnson was a 3rd-round pick. He ends up going to the 5th. They actually traded up to get him. They traded, I think it was like 8 or 9 spots to get him. They traded up with Pittsburgh. Listen, one thing about Brett Veach, we all know, when they have a glaring weakness, he has kind of gone the overkill route, where it's like, I am going to fix that at all costs. Like after they lost that Super Bowl to Tampa, and it feels like they brought in 85 offensive linemen. They watched what we watched last year. That running back room was ridiculous. And that is no knock. And, with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco gave it all they had. They were, as a group, other than on like 3rd and 1, horrendous. That is one of the worst running back rooms I've seen in a quarter century. And I think they got to a point where they're like, we're going to bring in Walker, and DeMarcado gives us a change of pace, and this kid can come in, and he can run, but he can also catch the ball. I think they looked at it like no matter what happens, we are going to run the ball next year, and they thought the value was there, and they went up and got him.
That is Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated joining us on the show today to recap the Kansas City Chiefs draft. Matt, great stuff, man. It'll be a little bit time before we catch up with you. I'll say this. If you and I talk at any point between now and like July,
probably not good.
Something went wrong for the Chiefs, if that's the case. Something went terribly wrong.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Hey, man, thanks for having me. Take care.
Absolutely. That is Matt Verderame joining us on the show. Rob, when you really think about it, there really isn't, outside of Patrick Mahomes' injuries, there is no player that needs to be paid. This is it for the most part. Like, we got maybe 2 to 5 more days of Chiefs conversation, Chiefs news, and it should be. Now, it's the Chiefs, so there is always a chance that something else could happen, but there is nothing else scheduled. There is nothing else scheduled.
I mean, you're not counting like the OTAs and the
but that's stuff like we're talking about football practice that we're not going to. Like, I mean, I'm not excited about that. I'm just saying if
Patrick Mahomes at that practice throwing and there's a video, I think we end up talking about that.
Mahomes' injury is the only offseason storyline that should pop up with the Kansas City Chiefs. There is not a player, because usually there is they should trade this person, or are they going to pay this person? They're in a contract dispute. This person could get suspended. The Chiefs have none of those stories as of right now. So some of these football guests, if we're talking to you in June or July, something went terribly wrong this offseason. Somebody got in trouble. Somebody got arrested. Or they made a move to go get Cam Jordan or Tyreek Hill. That's really it, I would say, in terms of possible pending Chiefs news.
There's not a player like L'Jarius Sneed was traded after the draft, correct? There's not a player that's entering their final year that doesn't feel like they want to keep. If June or July, me and you are scrambling to get Matt Verderame and Nate Taylor on the show on back-to-back days, it's because something disastrous has happened. Or they like you said, they've announced that Mahomes is going to start the year on PUP. But I wouldn't call that a disaster of a season. It is kind of quiet times over at One Arrowhead Drive.
I want to kick this toss-up question out for you guys, and we'll read your text coming up on the other side. I think there are 2 still possible needs for the Chiefs. I don't want you guys to think that I think they're great at wide receiver. I don't think they're great at wide receiver. I think they are in a much better position now than they were last year, and I don't see their situation nearly as dire as last year. But I think they have a fine wide receiver room. But if the Chiefs went out and got a Stephon Diggs if he was out of trouble, if the Chiefs went out and got a Brandon Ayuk, if the Chiefs went out and got Tyreek Hill, it would certainly be welcome for them to get more certainty in the room. I would also say the exact same thing when it comes to defensive line. So, Rob, I've not asked you this question yet. We'll answer it on the other side. If Brett Veach called you and said right now we only got cash to do one of these 2 deals, would you go get Cam Jordan on a 1-year deal, or would you go get Tyreek Hill on a 1-year deal? We'll get your answer next. We'll read some texts as well. 913-586-7965. Binkley coming on the show in about 35 minutes. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison and Rob Brenton.
You losers is what you are.
On your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
This is one of my favorite times of the sports calendar, and FanDuel is celebrating it right. FanDuel is serving up a happy hour every day of the NBA playoffs. We're talking special drops that you don't want to miss, from profit boosts to bonus bets and more. The best part of this is it's every single day. All you need to do is head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. I absolutely love the NBA playoffs. I'm talking of every day, every night. Incredible basketball played at the highest level by the biggest stars in the game. So it doesn't matter if it's a buzzer beater or it's a series sweep. They got you covered over on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. So whether you're betting the early game or you're getting ready for the prime time, make sure that you open up the FanDuel app and see what's waiting for you today. Go to FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel, an official partner of the NBA and also the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
In digital advertising, everyone talks about clicks, but clicks don't pay the bills. Sales do. Outcomes from Viant is a new way to advertise that prioritizes your bottom line. Our AI-driven technology looks past the noise to find the customers most likely to buy your product. It's smarter, faster, and designed for real-world results. It's smarter advertising made simple. Visit Viant.ai.
Staples presents Celebrations Made Easy.
I was throwing a party for the twins and had custom invites and a banner printed at Staples. And that's when I saw Party City is now at Staples.
Party City? No way!
Yep. So now Staples has all your printing needs and everything you need for a party.
Everything times 2.
Yeah, and now at Staples, save 40% on custom cards, photo gifts, wrapping paper, banners, and more.
Big news! Party City is now at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. In 613, exclusions apply.
Getting a little older doesn't have to mean, well, getting older. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're feeling low energy, can't sleep, can't lose weight, are struggling with brain fog, or your sex drive is off, it's time to change it up. At Heartland Men's Health, our advanced medical strategies featuring TRT, GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more treat low T and other hormonal issues to help you shed pounds, have more energy, enhance your body composition, improve sleep, increase your sex drive, and so much more, getting you back in the game again. So don't be older. Be stronger in the gym. Be sharper at work. Be better in the bedroom, and be more confident in every part of your life. So call us today and find out how our advanced treatment strategies could change the game for you. Your first visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on one of our advanced treatment plans on the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
When your AC starts breaking down, AB May is here to help your house feel like a home again. Serving Kansas City for over 65 years, AB May handles it all from AC repairs and upgrades to indoor air quality. When it comes to your home, solved is our standard, and AB May is committed to doing things the right way every time. Trusted by generations. Call AB May at 913-383-2222 or visit abmay.com today.
Call your servicemen from AB May.
Staples has hundreds of ways to grow your business this spring, like spectacular signs, brilliant brochures, eye-popping posters, mouth-watering menus, and more. Shop now through June 13th and save up to $150 on all your custom prints. Staples, that was easy.
There's a new kind of energy at Starbucks. When your day needs a reset, try the all-new energy refreshers. Strawberry acai, mango dragon fruit, or the all-new mango strawberry. The refreshers you love, now with extra caffeine. New energy refreshers only at Starbucks.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back-end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Replacing your HVAC doesn't have to be an emergency. Plan now, pay less later. For a limited time, take advantage of an HVAC replacement with financing starting as low as $149 a month. More options, better timing, and less stress for your home.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this. The countdown to the World Soccer Championship is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. From here, for wherever you are, that's the benefit of blue. Visit bluekc.com/benefit of blue for more information. here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
No major wrecks affecting traffic flow right now. Construction and lane restrictions continue heavy on I-435, I-35, and I-70. I'm Bill Brooks, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Hey, it's Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome back to the Drive with CDOT on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
All right, we just had Matt Verderame on the show. Binkley's going to join us coming up in about 30 minutes. We'll keep the draft conversation going. So, Matt Verderame was on the show. He believes that the Chiefs still need to go make a move at wide receiver before training camp arrives.
But I really do think between now and camp, they've got to sign somebody. Whether that is Diggs, if his off-the-field stuff is good, whether that is Tyreek Hill, if he can play, who knows, whether that is Keenan Allen. Like, they are going to have to get somebody because you can't go into camp and have Jalen Royals as wide receiver 4. I mean, that is just – you have no idea what you're getting out of him or Cyrus Allen. It's a very tenuous position to be in.
I understand the point that Matt Verderame is making, that they don't have a whole lot of depth at wide receiver. If something happens to Xavier Worthy, for example – I mean, you need Tyquan Thornton to step up. You need Jalen Royals to step up. You need the kid that you just got from Cincinnati. Like, they don't really have much depth, I would say, outside of their 1 through 3. I'm certainly not against them going out and making another move. So if it's going to pick up, it's a Jawan Jennings, whether it's getting Keenan Allen on a 1-year deal, Tyreek Hill, I am all for those moves. The question we're asking, though, is because it's a sports talk show, so you can't do both. It wouldn't be fun if they could just do all. If the Chiefs came to you right now and said, we only got money to pay one of these two individuals, would you want to go get Cam Jordan on a 1-year deal, or would you want to go get Tyreek Hill on a similar contract? Which one would you go get? Rob, I genuinely do not know how you are going to answer this question because these are your two areas of concern. Which one would you go get?
Cam Jordan. And it has more to do with Tyreek Hill, the player, than it does the position. I agree with Matt Verderame. They are one accident away from being in big trouble at wide receiver. And we saw them have basically everything that could go wrong went wrong health-wise last year at wide receiver. So I understand Matt Verderame's point. I cannot guarantee, based on what I know, Tyreek Hill's healthy. He had a massive knee injury. He's on his own Twitch early this offseason saying he has another surgery scheduled. Nate Taylor and Matt Verderame have said something to the effect of maybe you sign him, but you're hoping he's in October, November when he's back on the football field. Yeah, I'm not signing a guy who's in rehab, to get ready for October and hoping by Halloween he's up and going. That's not the risk I'm willing to take. I would take Cam Jordan because of the uncertainty of Tyreek Hill's health.
This is where I don't like that argument, and this is why. You could make that case about 4 positions on the field that they're 1 injury away. That's just kind of how football is. So just looking at it, they're in that place in tight end. If Travis Kelce got hurt, they do not have a plan B if that's the case.
I would say this real quick, and I apologize for interrupting. I think it's different at wide receiver because I've seen the injury happen.
100%.
Xavier Worthy got tackled by Tyreek Hill. Problem. Rashee Rice got tackled by Travis Kelce. Problem. He got tackled by Patrick Mahomes. Problem. Like, you're right. There are a lot of positions on the field where they're 1 injury away, but those are positions where I've seen a higher level of durability. When was the last time Travis Kelce missed significant time? Was it his rookie season or missed the whole year? Like, I can point to several times where Xavier Worthy missed significant time because of injury. So I get your point, but I think those other positions you're about to name, other than tight end, have a level of durability inside the room that wide receiver doesn't.
I mean, I have 4 positions like that very quickly. It is tight end, wide receiver, defensive end, and linebacker. I think they are 1 injury away on all 4 of those positions. They just don't have a lot of depth build up on those places. A lot of people are pushing back on the notion of going to get Tyreek Hill because of an attitude, all of those things. If you are still available at wide receiver at this standpoint, you come with one of those things. Jawan Jennings comes with an attitude. Stephon Diggs comes with an attitude. There is a reason why you are still available heading into May as a free agent when we are kind of past that portion as a player. You were either old or got an attitude or significantly injured. It is one of those two things. My argument would be for Cam Jordan, too, for this reason. Tyquan Thornton has a little bit of a history. And when you factor in, you can use your tight ends to be able to help you. You also can use the screen game. You can manufacture passing yards and receiving yards. You can't really do that with pass rush. Once you get past Chris Jones, once you get past George Karlaftis, you have absolutely no certainty anywhere else on your team for who's going to get pressure on the other team's quarterback. Now, you got a lot of hopefuls. You hope that Ashton Gelati can be this. You hope that R. Mason Thomas can be this. You hope Peter Woods. You hope for Omar Norman-Lott. You have absolutely no certainty once you get past those top two. Now, I'm not making it seem like you got a whole lot of certainty at wide receiver, but you got a little bit more cushion. You got a little bit more support. So I'm with you. If you could only sign one of these two individuals, I would go sign Cam Jordan.
Now, let me ask you this question because it changes for me. If it's Jawan Jennings versus Cam Jordan, I think I'm Jawan Jennings. If we change the calculus a little bit, because Jawan Jennings is also available. If Brett Veach called you and said, Carrington, love the show, big fan, I'm either deciding between Jawan Jennings or Cam Jordan. Does it change your answer from Cam Jordan? Because for me, my hang-up at wide receiver in this question is the Tyreek Hill formula because I just don't know about his health. I would take Jawan Jennings over Cam Jordan because I do think they have, you're right, less known, but more human bodies in that position. And Jawan Jennings fills the need of a position of a type of player they don't have in the wide receiver room.
Cam Jordan would be my number one free agent pickup at this stage of the season.
Who's two?
I mean, I would say Stephon Diggs, but he just comes with an attitude that I don't think the Chiefs will want to deal with. Probably Jawan Jennings second if I just had to throw a name out there. One of those two. I don't really like this argument, and I see a lot of people arguing this. Text line 913-586-7965. CDOT, they won a Super Bowl with MVS, Juju, Kadarius, Toney, Sky Moore, and Rice. Are we not better? I always say this. They also had a much better version of Travis Kelce back then than they have now. Like, they had a legitimate number one. And I also don't think the goal is how little can we give Patrick Mahomes and see if we can win. I'm with an abundance. So I know it's a sports radio topic. We got to have something to talk about. I am all for them doing both of these things. I'm all for them going to get Cam Jordan and also continuing to monitor the veteran wide receiver market and going to pick up Keenan Allen if he is available. Like, this is not an either or to me in a real life sense. It might be in a topic sense, but I am all for them continuing to turn over every stone. And with the 2 or 3 holes that they have left on their roster, I am all for them going to get a pass rusher that could get you 8.5 sacks and also going to pick up a wide receiver that could get you 700 yards next year. They could use both of those things.
I mean, the answer to your question is both. Like, I also think, and listen, I'm not here to defend MVS. I'm not an MVS defender.
He just got signed yesterday.
Good for him. I think when people point at 2022 and they say, look, that team had Travis Kelce, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, MVS, and Juju Smith-Schuster. That's bums at wide receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster had 900-plus yards that year at wide receiver in 2022, and MVS had another 680. Do we think they have a 680 guy in their room at wide receiver right now who would be weapon number 3, maybe 4 in the room? That I think MVS, sometimes we look back at 2022 and think that it's 2023 MVS who couldn't catch a cold. But in 2022, MVS was productive for this team. They need that middle tier level of productivity.
I mean, that version of MVS might be this team's second best wide receiver. Like, that version of MVS is a better, more consistent wide receiver than Xavier Worthy. You certainly rather have that version of MVS than you rather have Tyquan Thornton or Jalen Royals. I'm with you. He didn't turn out to live up to the contract, but that version of MVS was a fine number 3 option, a better number 3 option than what they have. So even if that guy was potentially available, I think you would be open to the possibility of going and get that guy. Again, I'm all for them turning over every rock. I think at this point, you know where the Chiefs have a hole. They have a hole still at wide receiver. They have a hole at defensive end. And then there's some other moves. Like, I could see them going to pick up a linebacker who was really good in 2022 and 2023, but's been hurt the last couple of years. That's where I think they could possibly be. Coming up on the other side, we're going to be joined by Shrias Ladha to talk about Kansas. Are they getting the number 1 recruit today? We'll do that next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan.
FanDuel is serving up a happy hour every day during the playoffs. We're talking special drops you don't want to miss, from profit boosts to bonus bets and more. And the best part, it's every single day. So head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. Here's how I'm handling the daily happy hour. I open the app, see what's available, and suss out. Maybe it's a profit boost on a player point total. Maybe it's a bonus bet, and I'll take a big swing and try to make some mega money and keep that bonus bet in my back pocket. So whether you're betting the early game or gearing up for prime time, make sure you open the FanDuel app and see what's waiting for you today. So go to FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel is an official partner of the NBA and the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Steve here with Connolly Plumbing Solutions, your neighborhood plumber. We have our sump pump special going. $200 off a main pump, $400 off a battery backup system. Call Connolly at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com.
Hello, Kansas City. Bank of America, in partnership with Visa, invites you to a FIFA World Cup 26 watch party. Open an eligible Bank of America checking account in participating financial centers only for an opportunity to reserve 2 complimentary tickets while supplies last. Experience special musical guests, games, giveaways, food, and more, all at a legendary venue. Learn more at BofA.com/BofA Visa Watch Party. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 26. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Telly Tire and Auto Center's biggest sale of the year is back. The tires at cost sale. That's right. You pay what we pay, plus mounting and balancing for only $30 per tire. Reserve yours at TELLEtire.com. Take care of your car. Take it to Telly. Additional charges apply for tire disposal and road hazard warranty.
She walked miles with her granddaughters every day at Disney with zero knee pain, but she couldn't have done that months ago. This all started with a visit to QC Kinetics.
We have spent the last 4 days going from park to park, walking all day long, no pain. I feel fantastic.
Here's what baffles people when they hear Kathy's story.
The doctor said, you need 2 full knee replacements. And I said, that's not going to happen. I went to QC Kinetics, started treatment that day. Within a couple of weeks, I was absolutely pain-free.
It's the kind of story that QC Kinetics hears from patients all the time.
I cannot thank QC Kinetics enough for giving me my life back. I'm active again and loving it. I'm well over a year out. I've had absolutely no pain in either knee.
Before you agree to surgery, listen to this. Think about it.
Tomorrow is Animal Kingdom, so yeah, gotta go.
Kathy's glad she took them up on the free consultation. We have one set aside for you.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Dell PCs with Intel inside are built for the moments you plan, and the ones you don't. For the time you forgot your charger at the gate,
Passengers, we are now on our initial ascent.
or when you're bouncing between projects like a ping pong ball. We build PCs with long-lasting battery life, so you're not scrambling for an outlet. And built-in intelligence, so you can stay focused on whatever you're doing. Dell Technologies, built for you. Dell.com/Dell PCs.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
No major wrecks affecting traffic flow right now. Construction and lane restrictions continue heavy on I-435, I-35, and I-70. I'm Bill Brooks, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
Let's go to the phone lines right now to be joined by Shrias Ladha. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks for the Kansas City Star. They have a chance to get the #1 overall high school recruit. Where is he going? Is he going to Kansas or Kentucky? Shrias, we are finally here. I feel like we've been talking about this for 2 months now. Where is he going to go? We're going to find out in less than 2 hours. What are you hearing? How are you feeling?
Well, I think, I feel good overall. If you're a Kansas fan, I think there's a high chance that Tyron Stokes ends up at Kansas. Obviously, you can never say never in this day and age with recruitment, but I wrote a story about this on Friday for my mailbag, and I talked to some sources around the situation involved in recruitment. I was told the visit with Kentucky for an NBA source did not go particularly well either way, and obviously I'd known beforehand, but Kansas knew about the visit. They knew that he has a tendency to go on these visits and check out schools and come back and ask for more money and stuff like that. So it wasn't super surprising that he went a Kentucky visit. There's been so much going on behind the scenes with this recruitment. Obviously, Kansas, a Adidas school. He's a Nike athlete. I think kind of the vibe I picked up, and I think a few different people have noted this, but if Tyran Stokes was an Adidas athlete, I think he would have been at Kansas a long time ago. But because of that kind of Nike Adidas thing, I was told Nike was putting up quite a fight for him last week on Thursday when I asked the source close to the situation. And, but just so much going on. I think Kansas always felt like they have a good shot at him, and we'll see if that comes to fruition in about 2 hours.
Do you think do you think Tyron is a better or a worse prospect than Darren Peterson was?
I think he's a worse prospect. I have a story of actually, if he does come to Kansas, coming out a few hours, talking to an NBA scout about this. But Tyron's a really talented player. I had an NBA scout describe him as a transition bowling ball, where he's just kind of incredible in transition. But I think overall, Darren was a more well-rounded player and a better scorer. The gist I got from just talking to a few different people, like that I trust in the NBA world, scouts and stuff like that, that Tyron in this draft would be a guy who'd be contending for like the 4th or 5th spot, behind Darren, behind AJ, behind Caleb Wilson, Cam Boozer. So very talented player, but he has some things he needs to improve on. I think his shooting could be streaky at times, but he's just a different player than I think Kansas had in a while. The comparison I got was like shades of Cade Cunningham, a little bit of Ben Simmons in college. When you watch Tyron's tape, I haven't seen a ton of players like him in this current college game.
What do you think it would mean for Kansas this year to go get Tyron Stokes and to secure his commitment?
Well, I think it's huge for a few things. All right, like you want to have it for the brand. It's always big to have guys that are #1 in their entire class consensus. To be at Kansas, I think it's great for a blue blood program to have it. #2, you're beating out a school like Kentucky that is a fellow blue blood and a Nike powerhouse in Kentucky and Oregon. So those two things are huge. But the way they've operated in the transfer portal is it feels like Tyron Stokes was plan A, B, and C. Obviously, they had some backup plans and all that, but I think Kansas feels confident that they'll end up with Stokes, and I guess we'll see what ends up happening. But it would be a huge get if they get him. And I think, they've built this team around trying to kind of accentuate his strengths. And they haven't looked at or even been linked to any star wings, etc. So to me, it felt like they're almost always keeping that lineup starting spot option open for Stokes.
Right now, we're talking to Shrias Ladha. He covers Kansas for the Kansas City Star. It would appear that they are about to get the #1 overall high school recruit coming up later today. Has there been any hesitation or reservation in picking up Stokes? And I only bring that up is because, for a kid to be kicked off of his high school team heading into his senior year as the #1 overall recruit, it must have been real bad behind the scenes. Is there any worry about that?
Well, I've had a few different, scouts talk to me about potential character concerns and maturity issues, but candidly, I think it's like if there's not any coach to be able to handle it, it'd be a guy like Bill Self, right? I think sometimes he is a fiery competitor. He's, can be a little more mature at times. Different scouts have told me that, but I think Kansas feels like Bill Self and his coaching staff will keep Tyron in check if they were to get him. And I think, the biggest thing is if it's not Bill Self, then which coach can? I feel Bill Self is the perfect guy to be able to rein in kind of guys that haven't always been the most mature. I mean, just look at his track record. The Morris twins, Josh Jackson, just different guys who probably didn't have the best, track record with their character, but they have thrived under Bill Self in their time at Kansas.
I'll get you out of here with this last question. How do you project the rest of the portal for Kansas after they lock up Stokes?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting because they definitely have to pick up a couple of bench guys, right? I think they're probably, because there's 15 spots, they'll probably have a guy or two that, maybe from Europe or Canada or something where they don't really play much, but they're maybe have a long-term potential. I mean, like they had G Ngala last year. They have kind of a similar level player. They absolutely need to pick up another scorer or two off the bench just to kind of have more guys that can play actual minutes. But with Stokes, if they get him, I think they have a projected starting lineup right now, depending on who wins the starting spot between Christian Reeves and Paul Mbia, and if who wins between Leroy Blyden and Corsario. But, I think right now, if they get him, they would have their 7-man rotation, which Bill, as likes to play a shorter rotation. I think if the expectation is maybe they can get hopefully other players too that is playable and can give them some bench minutes, that'll be huge. And then the rest, because the roster is now like only 15, I wouldn't be surprised if it's sort of walk-ons or guys who just redshirt or not play much.
That is our guy, Shrias Ladha, joining us on the show today. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks. It sounds like today is going to be great news for the Jayhawks. It would appear they're about to lock in the #1 overall high school recruits. Shrias, man, happy to have you on the show today, man. I'm hoping today goes well.
Yes, I hope so, because I wrote 2 different stories. So hopefully it works out. We'll see. Never know in the recruiting realm, and things change rapidly. And candidly, this entire recruitment has taken so much longer than I think I or anyone anticipated. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. That is Shrias Ladha joining us on the show today. Someone on the text line says, CDOT, as a Mizzou fan, would you rather him go to a team in the conference or go to Kansas? It is far better for the radio show if he goes to Kansas. Far better for the show. So that's what I'm rooting for. I want the kid to go to Kansas. It will certainly make the college basketball conversations much better. They got the #1 ranked high school point guard. Missouri has the second. It'll be a lot of fun, especially when these two teams play each other coming up in December. Yes, I would like for Tyron Stokes to go to Kansas. It is what is in everybody's best interest. Maybe not in K-State's best interest, but I couldn't tell you a single name that K-State got out of the portal. That team's terrible. I don't know how much K-State basketball we're going to be talking this year. They had a very uneventful transfer portal. At least Missouri's out here getting Kansas players. KU's out here getting the #1 overall recruit. K-State's new coach, they got Purple Belmont is who they got this year. So good luck to them. I'm looking forward to it.
They didn't even get the 2 best Belmont kids. They went somewhere else.
They got Super Belmont is what they got. That's what they got. Just very, very uneventful is what they have. Extremely uneventful. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here with you. The phone lines are always open, 913-586-7965. You have much more chance of getting through by just simply texting that number than calling that number. I do have to tell you that. Binkley is going to join us in studio. We're going to read some of your texts. We're going to talk a little bit of draft. We're going to recap everything. Excited to have Bink join us on the show. Keep it right here. So drive.
Your off-season home for everything Chiefs football.
Talking about the top story, the Chiefs, they have a new offensive coordinator.
96.5, The Fan. here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
There's a wreck northbound 635 just before Highway 9 with traffic stacked up down to Highway 5. I-35 has quite a bit of construction along the way, but it's running pretty good right now from Overland Park up into downtown. I'm Bill Brooks, 96.5 The Fan traffic.
I'm Chris Mack with a Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. The Celtics look to close out the Sixers in Boston tonight. We're looking to ride the hot hand in Game 5. Peyton Pritchard has been splash city from beyond the arc in the last 2 games, going a combined 11 of 22 from 3. And it's not like Philly can just choose to lock down on him instead of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, so he'll continue to get open looks. And even if this turns into a laugher late, Pritchard gets minutes, averaging 32 a game off the bench. Let's ride the hot hand and take Peyton Pritchard 3+ threes tonight at better than even money at BetMGM. That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Missouri only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Please gamble responsibly.
Growing a brand is hard, but reaching the right customers shouldn't be. Meet Outcomes from Viant. We've built an intelligent platform that handles the complexity of digital advertising for you. Powered by advanced AI, we help your brand show up in the right places at the right time and ensure that every dollar you spend leads to a real business result. It's smarter advertising made simple. Visit Viant.ai.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement. Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
CertaPro Painters recently painted my home and exceeded my expectations. I booked a free estimate, reviewed a detailed proposal, and scheduled my project on the spot. When you choose CertaPro Painters, you're partnering with trusted local professionals with over 70,000 five-star reviews. Ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in KC. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
I hope you are sitting down. The ACA Marketplace has announced significant increases on monthly premiums, with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Matt B. and KC at BBS Insurance's Freedom of Choice plan now. You don't have to wait. Their plan lets you use any doctor, has zero outpatient deductibles, and is 30 to 60% lower costs than most Obamacare plans. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you're a small business owner or pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Matt B. and KC for an instant quote over the phone. 816-205-4664. That's 816-205-4664. Or go to bbsinsurance.net. That's bbsinsurance.net. They will customize a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government.
What if you could have the most reliable Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee.
Just 5 years of fiber-powered Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most.
That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included.
Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi.
Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi? It would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that.
Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Powered by fiber. Connected to the premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
If you're looking for more NFL draft coverage, go subscribe and follow the Character Concerns podcast with Bink and Chris on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. This is your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
I am really excited right now to be joined in studio by a friend of the show, Jay Binkley. He is the co-host of the Character Concerns podcast, and there are a lot of draft things to discuss. Binkley, let's start with this, with the NFL draft. I've asked other people this. I'll ask you this. If I had to use one word to describe the Chiefs draft, I would use the word refresh. I think it was a very nice refresh on defense. The Chiefs had 9 draft picks. They used up 7 of those assets to completely transform their defense. That's the word I would use. What word would you use to describe the Chiefs draft?
Fast. Speed was definitely an emphasis with the Chiefs in their draft. I'd say fast. We've already seen the fast, explosive players on offense and stuff, but clearly this defense, was about drafting fast guys on that side of the ball. So I would say fast.
I'm not a big draft grade person, but one thing that I do like about it is I like this. I like the fact that the Chiefs had a clear plan to me. I like the fact that the Chiefs had a plan of we're going to establish the run and we're going to run the football more effectively. That's exactly what they went out and did. They invested a lot of resources. I think they had a clear plan. Our defense last year was not good enough. So let's let some guys go and let's turn this roster over on the defensive side. If this plan works, the Chiefs will be back to being a Super Bowl contending type team. If their plan of let's run the football more effectively, let's be a faster, more athletic, let's force more turnovers kind of defense, if their plan works, they're back.
If it works, you get to the NFL, this defense, in the one misnomer about this defense, people thought this defense just completely collapsed last year. The defense was absolutely terrible. Did they lose people? Yeah. They lose Leo, yeah. They lose Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, they did. But let's not forget, this was a top 10 defense in the NFL last year. Not only that, they were 6th in scoring defense. 6th in all the NFL in scoring defense. So that's the bar. So they've got to get to that bar, stay at that bar, or get better than that bar. Because if they're worse than that bar, then the defense took a step back. Even with these draft picks, because they're not all going to play. They're not all going to start. They're going to be in rotational pieces. But when your defense is 10th overall and 6th in scoring defense, that gives you a little room to play there. Not much to do it. The offense was actually statistically way worse than the defense was last year. As a matter of fact, on 4th down, they were number 1. Not saying this defense is great. We all know they need to get better. 100% that they don't. But this misnomer of the Chiefs' defense was just so bad and they got to get back there. Yeah, they've had a great defense in the past. We've seen that. But, yes, the defense got some pieces to play for it this season, but it wasn't the end-all, be-all for this team. I think people were considering this defense way worse than it actually was.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought the Chiefs at their core defensively, I think they were broken in 3 pretty important phases. I think they struggled to generate pressure last year and get to the other team's quarterback. I don't think they're a defense that can take the football away. So if you can't get to the other team's quarterback and you don't force turnovers, they struggle to get off the field on 3rd down. You don't got to be 3 for 3 of those rough. 3 things, but you got to be able to do 2 of those 3 things if you want to build a good defense.
Yeah, that was the hard part. They were bad on 3rd down. 4th down defense actually got better, way better. They were like 57%. That means teams basically had a 57 to 60% chance every time they went for it on 4th down against the Chiefs. And the attempts on that defense went from like 1st to 3rd. Teams are going for it against the Chiefs all the time on 4th down. That was the one way to beat them. You had to keep the football, score points. To beat the Chiefs, so teams went for it a lot on 4th down. Well, the Chiefs shaved that down to a league-best 27%, where they were going for it on 4th down, but they weren't getting it, hence putting Patrick Mahomes back on the field. So that was the part of the game they were actually very, very good at. It was under-talked about. Nobody really asked Andy Reid any of those questions last year. Talked about the 3rd down defense and all this, but what they did on 4th down, because that's basically a turnover. You don't give them that 1st down, you're putting Patrick Mahomes in that offense back on the field. But, yes, free agency took away some interesting pieces for the Chiefs.
Maybe this was always going to happen with Delane. Like, once you kind of get over they could have got this person. You just accept this is who we have. I think as people have learned more about Delane, I think people are now excited about the pick. They got the best corner in this year's NFL draft, and a very, very good corner prospect. And I think as people have gotten more information about top 10 corners and the history of them, I don't know how you couldn't be excited about the Chiefs potentially having one of these impact defensive players in the draft.
Consistent guy they had their eyes on back even when he was at Virginia Tech before he transferred to LSU. Complete. I mean, it's a guy with speed, the guy that doesn't get penalties. I mean, that's the guy you want, a guy that's not going to have that big penalty on third down, give him a first down. Now, he might do it in the NFL, but he didn't do that at LSU. He was very good. But he was one of the there wasn't many guys drafted early didn't have some kind of knock on him, some kind of asterisk, whether it be arm size or whether it be injury history. I mean, a lot of guys were knocked with certain pieces. He was not one of them. He was one of the few handful that didn't have any issues whatsoever.
Yeah, I want to play this for you because we had Matt Verderame on the show earlier. He said that Mansour Delane was a no red flag kind of player. Here's what Matt Verderame of SI said earlier today on the show.
I will say this. The hit rate on top 10 corners is tremendous. There are no red flags. That guy can play every position. I wrote about him before the draft. He was a top 5 player in the draft for me. I thought he was up there with Love, Reese, Bailey. You know, I actually thought they were going to take Bain when they moved up, but I think that Delane's a cleaner prospect. So I don't have the concern that you do with Bain with the arms, whether or not that's something that's important. We'll see.
It's funny because I think, at least for me, one of the points that I made before this process was if you like Bain, you have to acknowledge that he would be one of the bigger anomalies in the NFL draft. Just guys his size don't have the kind of success that would warrant being the 9th overall pick in the draft. Now you look at it, they have drafted a player, to me, on the opposite end of the spectrum. I would be surprised if Delane was a bad player, if we looked at him like a bust. Now, maybe he doesn't hit the ceiling and you think that he wasn't worth the 6th overall pick. That's obviously within it. But if you look at a guy with his injury history, his track record, where he went to school, where he dominated, it's just rare that guy just completely busts out as a prospect.
He's a safe pick. A safe pick where you know he's going to be good. You know he's going to be starter. That's day one starter right now. You know that when you draft somebody in the top 10, 100%, you should view it as a day one starter, and he will be. He'll be thrown right into the mix. They bring in Jaden Kennedy from Oregon as well. They really updated the corners, and that's good because they had to have that. I understand there's a position of need. They had to address that at some point. And if Delane was their shutdown guy, because you're playing good quarterbacks in the AFC West, playing Justin Herbert twice, playing Bo Nix twice. I know he's not the greatest, but did get all the way to the AFC title game.
They also got Jalen Waddle now, so they got a legitimate one now.
And have to deal with Fernando Mendoza, how good he's been. We don't know exactly how good he's going to be, but still you got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. You get the rest of them in the AFC. If you want to get to Super Bowl, you're going to have to face a good quarterback. So having good corners, you got to have them. So I understand the need for the Chiefs to do what they did at corner.
Binkley, at your core, you are an SEC guy. Do you like the R. Mason Thomas pick? Tell us a little bit more about him.
R. Mason's an interesting guy, and I've enjoyed watching him because, yeah, does he have the shorter arms? Is that okay in the second round? Yeah, you can sometimes fluctuate with that because they have done that with Karlaftis and Gelati, kind of shorter arm guys. Peter Woods, they got a 29 that way too. So I'm fine with that with R. Mason, but R. Mason is just so quick and explosive, man. Yeah, he dealt with injuries, missing games here and there from time to time. But, man, if you watch the Oklahoma Sooners, there's no way you didn't watch that defense. I mean, one of the top 3 sacking teams in college football last year. They were a menace. I mean, they got after Venables and that defense and what they did with that team. And it also helps having DeMarco Murray on the Chiefs staff that was with R. Mason every day, even though a different side of the ball, but at the same practice that he does all the time. But R. Mason Thomas is fun to watch. You never know what you're going to get in the second round. We have seen good edge rushers go later on in the draft, into the first round, into the second round. I'm okay with that. I prefer Zion. I thought Zion Young was kind of in the measurables like they would want, a player that gets the turnovers, plays on the other side of the field, but he's going to a great spot with the Baltimore Ravens because it's like the perfect fit for what he is. But, yeah, I mean, there were certain guys around that realm of R. Mason Thomas, but he's definitely kind of in that second tier of edge rushers you can see and having I think Bailey will be good. I think Arvell Reese clearly will. Bain's a huge asterisk. We don't know. Could R. Mason Thomas fit right in there with that group, like Bain and Mesidor and company? I think he can.
Which one of these did you have the higher grade on between R. Mason Thomas, Howell, and Zion Young?
Zion Young. We had Zion. Cassius Howell, and I know I geek out on this. People say, oh, arm length, but trust me, teams do look at it. Ruben Bain's knock is the short arms. Cassius Howe's
The
arms
opposite,
are actually shorter
Oh,
than
and
Ruben.
I got a different prospect.
Ruben Bain has longer arms than Cassius Howe. So and again, they even addressed it when the Chiefs were talking, like Brad Wade and these guys were talking right now, that, yes, kind of out of the realm of the typical Spags guy, the long arms, the big wingspan, the reach, because he's got a typical prototype guy he looks for. But again, you do that stuff in the top 10 where it's more the Spags guy, but in the second round you experiment with other things. But, yeah, I would take R. Mason definitely over Cassius Howe, but I would take Zion over R. Mason.
Are you surprised that they went with a prospect that doesn't typically fit their body type? Like when you look at R. Mason Thomas, this is not the kind of style of defensive end that they usually go get.
A little bit different. They have been trending that way. When they they were second in the NFL in sacks, and 23 and 24, they finished number 2. They were able to get the quarterback, but doing it a variety of different ways, and they did it with the prototypical Spags guy, bringing in certain players to kind of fit that role, Minihue, and you name it, put them on the end with the longer arms. Because one of Spags' things that he preaches is the arms up, knocking passes down, and deflecting the direction the quarterback throws. Like if the arms are up, you change kind of how you're throwing it because you're worried about it knocked down. So that is a big part of what they do. So it does surprise me a little bit, but they haven't been drafting that way. They've been drafting actually shorter arm guys the last couple of years with like a Gelati and a Karlaftis, guys like that. They've been drafting those guys, so it doesn't surprise me. It does go against kind of what, it's why I never thought Ruben Bain would have been a fit for the Kansas City Chiefs, because they preach that. Even Andy Reid in his couple days ago, he's always talking about arm length, and he's been a stickler on it because only one guy has ever been drafted for Andy Reid going back to Philadelphia and Kansas City with shorter than 34-inch arms at tackle. Like, he values that.
Right now, we got Jay Binkley in studio. We'll talk about some of the other questions around the Chiefs, but let's really focus in on the NFL draft right now. Is Mason Thomas a guy you think can contribute immediately in Kansas City?
He'll be a rotation piece. And the one thing is, okay, he's going to start where Gelati did. No, they like Ashton Gelati. He was their rookie of the year. I mean, he won that award last year, the Mackley Hill, for the Chiefs.
He had a good second half of the season last year.
But they value what he is, and they value the direction he's going. So I think it's a big rotational piece. I think there's very few starters on this team from this draft class. There's going to be a lot of rotational pieces that you'll see in there, 30, 40% of the snaps. You name it, they'll be inside out. Peter Woods will get his snaps on that defensive line. You'll see R. Mason Thomas coming in at different times. Karlaftis will be out there probably more than everybody else, but you'll see Gelati and moving in and out. They'll use a heavy rotation. The guy's probably going to obviously lead in snaps next year will be Mansour Delane. Like, that's the one guy you say that's your starter, guaranteed starter lock on day one. The other one's going to have to work their way in and be on the rotational pieces.
How many snaps do you think Woods is going to have? If we looked at the snap count, whose role do you think that Woods is going to take over from last year?
I think he'll sprinkle in with Jones. He'll sprinkle in. They're going to use him at nose, too. He'll be at the 3 technique a lot, but Omar Norman a lot. Kyrus Tonga, if they decide to nose, because he can't play nose, and they did address can he plays nose. If Kyrus Tonga, because Kyrus Tonga goes for about 35, 40% of the snaps, so could I see Woods sometimes in that situation? I think you're maybe looking at he could get up to 45, 50% of the snaps.
I think if you're looking at it, I mean, they obviously have the mindset of we have to turn over this this running back room. They also have that exact same mindset, too, when it came to their defensive line. Like, they are out. They are free from the bonds of Jerry Tillery, Mike Danham, Mike Pinnell. Those guys, they have freed themselves from that. They have completely started over, I would say, for the most part, on their defensive line, aside from Karlaftis and Chris Jones.
Yeah, they have. And it's fast. It's quick. Guys under these rookie contracts. But that was a definite emphasis. I mean, Peter Woods, 300-pounder that went 4.91. I mean, he's fast. He's quick. And it's going to be on your defensive line. Could be playing some nose for you. Obviously play the 3 technique. The guy's sub-5 at that kind of size. I mean, they're freak athletes. I mean, they got, and the guys all that they got are tough guys. I mean, they're known as tough guys in college football, but they're all extremely fast.
Was there a wide receiver you thought was a possibility at 40?
Once they kind of didn't mess with it in the first round, I thought, they'd be hard-pressed to go wide receiver at that point. I am definitely team wide receiver, but when you get to that point, you start thinking pure edge. You start thinking pure edge when you go, because pure edge is one of them. Like we always thought edge, wide receiver with the first round, definitely wide receiver first, but that second round, maybe they just felt the edge was better than the receiver at that point. Now receivers are 34 receivers drafted in this draft. A lot of quantity doesn't mean quality.
Right now, we're joined in studio.
I like them a lot better, 29.
Right now, we're joined in studio by Jay Binkley. You were obviously counting on contribution from your top 3 picks, so you're counting on Delane Woods and R. Mason Thomas to be a part of what the Chiefs are doing. There's a little bit of a gap because the Chiefs traded the 74th overall pick. Out of the remainder of the picks, so outside of those top 3, where do you think the best value is? Who do you like most out of that grouping?
And the first 3?
Out of the first 3. So once you get to Kennedy, once you get to the kid they got from Cincinnati, out of that group, and which one of those picks you like the best?
Well, Kennedy was our favorite. That was actually the one that we had gotten right. So he was the one guy. We like Kennedy and what he does. And the fact they can move him all around. He's played some safety, plays corner, plays in the nickel, can do all sorts of different things. It's a honey badger light is really what he is. Undersized. He's got that dog mentality. I like watching Kennedy. He's extremely fast. Did not run at the combine, but his pro day, hovering in the 4.3s to low 4.4s. I mean, they didn't put exact time. Let's not put exact times on a lot of these guys at the pro day. But he's fast. He's tough. Dan Lanning definitely gave him a ringing endorsement. They even brought that up when they were talking to the scouts. They've been trusting Dan Lanning because they went Bossa last year. Of course, local guy who knows defense. He was the defensive coordinator on that national title team there in Georgia. He knows defense. But Kennedy, I really like that pick later on. I think that was a very good pick for him.
Maybe I just haven't seen it and it exists. I'm surprised there's not more buzz around that because one of the things people said whenever the Chiefs moved up to go get Delane was, oh, man, they're so good at those mid-round corners. Well, they took one of those guys. Like, Kennedy is the guy that you didn't
He's right in that wheelhouse
like,
for
that
it,
is
yeah.
absolutely in their wheelhouse. These are the guys that they have so much
Well, and
tremendous
McDuffie
success
was a
with.
first-rounder. So you want that elite of elite that you 100% trust. It's one of your guys. Like McDuffie started the free fall and fall. Different situation. Because McDuffie actually got a first-round grade from the Chiefs. There's only like 13 to 16 guys with those, quote, first-round grades. McDuffie started falling to 20. And he started falling back. So that's why they had to get ahead of the Buffalo Bills and make the selection, which is funny because the Bills ended up with Kyer Elam, who ended up being with the Kansas City Chiefs now at this point when they signed him. But McDuffie was a different situation. Delane, you move up to get him. And I get it because the Jermon McCoy situation, which is really one of the weirdest in this division, which really puts like the Raiders draft in the spotlight if you want to look at AFC West. I think the Raiders had the second best draft in the AFC West. The Chargers and Broncos was junk as far as their draft because not any of them had that player go, oh, that guy stands out. Oh, man, I hate the fact he's going there. Like when Bowers went to the Raiders, I go, this guy's going to be a problem in the future. This guy, if the Raiders ever turn around, he's going to be a problem for the Chiefs. Didn't see McCoy is the guy the Chiefs really liked. Matter of fact, Jermon McCoy was a heavily mocked guy to the Chiefs. The last 2.5 weeks, we always took a look at the 25 latest mocks that would come out, just kind of look at trends and what people are looking at. The number one player by far mocked to the Chiefs at 9 was Delane, but there was some Jermon McCoy sprinkled in 4 or 5 times here and there. And as Veach said, Delane 1A, McCoy 1B. And that's kind of how NFL teams look. Them two guys, 1A and 1B.
His knee's got to be in terrible shape.
Yeah, but the thing about it is he's got this knee, but he's got this something to repair the ligament as well. Well, it's not even part of the ACL that's really concerning people, this bone plug that he has for a ligament in his knee. He runs at the combine. He didn't have any side effects. He ran 4.37, I think, Jermon McCoy. He's extremely fast, but despite the injury, he's one of those guys that actually did run at the combine. He didn't have any problems. So I wish him well, and I like Jermon McCoy. If he pans out for the 4th round, the Raiders got a top 10 pick in the 4th round if he works out. But you know what? They may not need him right away because Mendoza's not going to be ready right away. So when it's ready to go, maybe they get a fresh McCoy. So it could turn into a great draft pick or it could turn into a really bad one. But Delane makes the most sense, and that's why the Chiefs wanted to make sure they got their guy because there's other teams. When you get to 7 and 8 and he's still sitting there, you hear about the Dolphins may have had some interest, Veach is worried about the Saints or Commanders picking Mansour Delane. Those teams probably field a lot of calls if he's still on the board, with especially the situation with McCoy, thinking, man, we could sit at the end of the first round and get a Chris Johnson, maybe trade up and get him. But if we really want that surefire, the best corner in the draft, we may have to call New Orleans, we may have to call Washington to make the move. And the Chiefs obviously knew that, and they looked at what NFL teams are thinking. Clearly, he slides all the way to the 4th. So I think they were a little bit worried about other teams possibly jumping up to 7 or 8 if they didn't go up to 6, or 6, 7, or 8, and making a move for him.
Right now, we're talking to Jay Binkley in studio. Are you surprised that they doubled back on running back after being so aggressive in free agency?
A little bit. I mean, that was Brett Veach had talked about that at the combine, that running back was definitely an emphasis. They wanted to get more explosive in the running game, and that's why everybody was taking to what he put together, and they were mocking Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs. That's why there was so much Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs talk going out there. Well, that dissipated 100% when he goes out and gets Kenneth Walker. I think they were shocked, and they said as much. After he was picked with the scout, they were shocked that he was still available. They were shocked that quality of running back was still sitting there. So they made that choice, like, hey, this guy's too good. We can't pass on him now. And that really signals several things. I know there was some long shots of people still wanting to see maybe Kareem Hunt to come in again for that short yardage where he had so much success last year. Ended that talk right there. Brashard Smith still sitting out there. I think he, honestly, if he wants to make the team, I think he goes back to wide receiver. He had 25 catches for the Chiefs last year. I get a lot of them on bubble screens and stuff, but he looked really comfortable when he was doing routes. And he spent 3 years as a wide receiver at Miami. He's 5'10". For him to make this roster and get snaps, I think 4 wide receiver locks at this point, but there's going to be a battle for 3 of them. I see that as his only way. And then DeMarcado plays with a lot of toughness as well. He'll be part of that equation. So I just wonder, who's going to be getting the football. Kenneth Walker's going to get it the most. These guys are going to be scrapping for snaps there behind him, but I'm not surprised with him. And then they go out and undrafted free agency and get Jade Knott, who played in the Senior Bowl, scored a touchdown at Oklahoma. He's an interesting guy because back in 23, he led the Pac-12 in rushing. Like, they got the Big Ten's leading rusher from this year. They got the Pac-12's leading rusher from 23. But keep this in mind. It was when Oregon and UCLA, USC, they were all still in the Pac-12. It was a different Pac-12. Jade Knott. And the interesting thing about him is he was in the doghouse at Oklahoma. He only had 68 yards. He transferred from Cal, and he did not put up the production that they thought at Oklahoma. But think about it. DeMarco Murray's with the Chiefs. So clearly he's well aware of Jade Knott. Jade Knott ends up with the Chiefs. So they got all sorts of people, including the practice squad.
Let me ask you this, because I'm curious to get your opinion. We had Matt Verderame on the show, and he said that, the draft, there's these forks in the road where you can go left or go right, and ultimately we are going to determine whether you were successful or failed based off the decision that you make. Now that we've seen the way the board played out, is there a different direction you would have gone? If you were the general manager, would you have taken this course as opposed to what the Chiefs actually did?
Yeah, there was one course that you could look at that you kind of pieced together what they might have done. Like sitting there, would you have taken Jordan Tyson and taken a trade up for Chris Johnson? Chris Johnson was Chris and I's one of our favorite corners throughout the process. And Dane Brugler joined Fesco in the morning. He really liked Chris Johnson as well. And obviously he's one of the first-round corners that went out of San Diego State. Would you have rather had what they had? Or would you rather go plan B, which would have been Jordan Tyson and Chris Johnson? I think both options would have been extremely good. And the wide receiver one is probably the direction that I would have gone with Jordan Tyson in the equation. But those are kind of the two things they were looking at.
There's also an alternate world in which the Chiefs just stay at 9 and get Caleb Downs and then still have the 74th overall pick.
Tyson,
and then pick
or Tyson
at
that point, because they really liked him. And I know there's a lot of injury concerns with him, so that was scary.
Coming up on the other side, we will get what's your cause for concern right now about the defensive line? What's your cause for concern right now about wide receiver? We got Binkley in studio. Binkley will answer your draft questions coming up in about 20 minutes. So if you have them, start texting them in right now. 913-586-7965. 913-586-7965. Talking draft here on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for K-State Athletics. 96.5 The Fan.
Performance matters in intimate moments. Don't let ED ruin them. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and I want to assure you that if you're like the vast majority of guys, you don't have to suffer with ED anymore. In fact, you might be pleasantly surprised at how the right treatments could positively impact your love life. At Heartland Men's Health, our advanced medical therapies go far beyond pills. We have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, and we offer specific and combinative treatments that can dramatically enhance both your performance and your stamina. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a far greater level of intimacy to both you and the one you love, perhaps performing like you haven't in years. So call us today and find out why our advanced treatment strategies offer so much more. Your first visit is just $99 and gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, advanced medical science to improve men's lives.
Hi, I'm Carter.
And I'm Charlie. We'd like to share a quick story about a homeowner named Jack.
Jack had a home he needed to sell fast.
And Jack thought he had it all figured out.
So Jack talked to multiple cash buyers.
Jack chose the highest offer.
But the day before closing, guess what? The buyer backed out.
Leaving Jack with the moving truck all packed in the driveway and not sure what to do.
Jack learned the hard way that the highest offer isn't always the right offer.
Jack got suckered.
Make sure you aren't hung out to dry.
Call our dad at Rex Buys KC.
Our dad is local, he knows Kansas City, and he actually closes deals.
No repairs, no fees, no showings, no surprises.
Just a fair cash offer and a smooth process.
Now, don't be like Jack.
Call 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com.
Rex Buys KC, helping people make smart choices one home at a time.
At Busey, banking is about more than numbers. It's about relationships. For over 150 years, we've been helping individuals, families, and businesses reach their goals with personalized service and local decision-making. Whether you're opening your first account or planning your next big move, we're here with the tools and support to help you move forward with confidence. Busey Bank, your partner for life's moments, both big and small. Member FDIC.
At Liberty Mutual, we love helping people with things like customizing car insurance, just like how we customize a song for you. Catered country tune. Liberty Mutual, saving you bucks by protecting your truck. 'Cause Birdie told me to only pay for what I need. Thank you, Limu. I'll always trust a Nemu with Liberty, 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 Liberty.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Penalties and interest are piling up every single day. Wage garnishments and bank levies could hit any moment. If you've been avoiding it out of fear, you're not alone. But waiting only shrinks your options and ramps up the stress. The truth is, the IRS settles with taxpayers every day through legitimate programs, and many qualify to reduce what they owe, in some cases by up to 99%. That's why thousands turn to helpwithirsdebt.com. They've guided over 120,000 Americans, resolved more than $2.3 billion in tax debt, and back every case with their ironclad resolution guarantee. If there's no real path forward, you get a full refund, no fine print. They even randomly select one qualifying client each year and pay off their entire IRS balance. Terms apply. Don't let another day pass. Go to helpwithirsdebt.com right now. It's fast, easy, and confidential. Find out what's possible today. Helpwithirsdebt.com. Once again, that's helpwithirsdebt.com.
In digital advertising, everyone talks about clicks. But clicks don't pay the bills. Sales do. Outcomes from Viant is a new way to advertise that prioritizes your bottom line. Our AI-driven technology looks past the noise to find the customers most likely to buy your product. It's smarter, faster, and designed for real-world results. It's smarter advertising made simple. Visit Viant.ai.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Royals coverage sponsored by Park & Go, the best deal on airport parking.
Trading the jacket for flip-flops? Start your sun-soaked getaway stress-free with Park & Go. All covered parking keeps your car cool and protected while you're catching rays. Quick shuttle straight to the terminal. Reserve now at bookparkandgo.com. Park & Go, family-owned, customer approved.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
The countdown Countdown to the World Soccer Championship is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. From here, for wherever you are, that's the benefit of blue. Visit bluekc.com/benefit of blue for more information. Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
No major wrecks impacting traffic flow, but several minor crashes to watch for through the KC Metro. As peak traffic takes hold, look for construction delays I-435 Johnson Drive to 87th Street. I'm Bill Brooks, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Hey, it's Chris Jones from the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome back to The Drive with C-Dot on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
It's almost like somebody's been listening to the show. Text line 913-586-7965. I feel like people will assume that we have fixed the D-line, but we will be sitting here in November and CDOT will be saying, what did you expect? They didn't address D-line. Now, I do think they have addressed D-line. I do not think that part is fair, but what I will say is fair. It is very obvious right now that their defensive line is unproven, and outside of Jones and Karlaftis, they don't have anybody on their team with a track record of getting to the other team's quarterback. In my opinion, that is the thing that still needs to be addressed. I like what they've done with the defensive end, but you are not counting on Ashton Gelati getting you 8 sacks this year. You cannot be counting on R. Mason Thomas getting you 8 sacks this year, or Omar Norman Lott. You need somebody, I think, with a little bit more proven track record and a little bit more of an upside, and then those guys can just fill in and get in where they fit in. So, yes, I will continue to be on the side of go get Cam Jordan. You can just insert him in. He can be a third down specialist, veteran presence to get after the other team's quarterback. I still think that is the biggest need that's left on the team.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I'd 100% take him in. And some they might do, because, again, they use the rotational pieces that'll be going through this defense. And, again, the only true fire starter that's going to be out there, down 1 through 3 or 4, if the other team goes for 4th down, is going to be Delane. And the rest are just going to be rotating pieces, on in through the defense. But, yeah, nothing's proven until you go. That's the funny thing about these draft classes, because Mahomes' draft class got a C+. I mean, this one's been getting a lot of A's and B's. Ask us in 3 years, because you can tell if it was good or not. Because it might be bad, it might be good, it might be great. That's one thing about draft class. You just never know.
Where do you think the Chiefs have the bigger need? Do you think it's D-line or do you think it's wide receiver?
Wide receiver. 100%, I think it's wide receiver. Here's the thing. It's the same group of guys. It's the same group of guys they're going to go with this year. And everybody's like, oh, they're going to be fine. I mean, well, you didn't say that last year. I sat here, like you, and just the complaints going from can't beat man coverage, dropping the football, Rice, because people loved Rashee Rice when he first came back. And then towards the end of the year, it's like, hey, he's not getting their contract. He's not getting another contract. You can't rely on this guy. And people were, you saw it, people really did 180 on Rashee Rice. Like, they really happy he came back, then, baby out with the bathwater towards the end of the year. Move on. Because you can't beat man and you can't catch the football, which is, big problems. And you look at the halftime stats, and a lot of times they're like Kelsey, 4 catches, Rashee Rice, 2, Worthy, 1. I mean, they didn't have anybody, taking that spotlight, and the receivers struggled for this football team. Yes, they're getting great on the ground. It's going to be good to have Mahomes having that ground game to supplement it. But I'll remind people, only 4 of the top 10 rushers made the postseason last year. You can have the best backfield in the world, like Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. You might not get to the playoffs. Jeremiah Love is going to be a fantastic running back. Cardinals going to pick first on the clock. Austin Genty, first-round pick. Raiders picked first on the clock this year. So you can have those guys that only need the quarterback. I mean, it basically comes down to it. But I think wide receiver is a problem, and I think the Chiefs have been dealing with that the last 2 years. 24, Hollywood Brown gets the first preseason game, gets hurt. He's out. Rashee Rice gets hurt in game 4 for the rest of the year. Then all of a sudden, you're looking at your undersized, into the first-round receiver and Xavier Worthy, and you're putting all this pressure because he came in here just sliding, man. You got Worthy out there and Rice, and you kind of, go at your own level. And then he's forced to, all right, you better be good. And he was. He was good throughout the playoffs. He had 59 catches on the season. He was a pretty good player. But then you go back to last year, and the only dart they threw on receiver was Jalen Royals. who couldn't sniff the field, couldn't get out there. And he wasn't even on IR. I know people are going to say, well, he's banged up at the knee beside his line. Yeah, but he never went on IR once. So Jalen Royals out of the equation. Rashee Rice was suspended the first 6. Xavier Worthy gets hurt on play 3 in Brazil, out 3 games.
I also don't know if you can really count on getting any contribution from their draft pick. I'm not saying the kid can't be good, but we've seen enough Chiefs draft picks. If you're counting on pick 176 to help the Chiefs at wide receiver, I would count on that not happening.
And a receiver that did not get a combine invite. And a lot of receivers, their undrafted free agent they brought in, Caldwell, got an invite to the combine. Cyrus did not.
You like him, the Caldwell kid?
I do. I mean,
he's an athletic freak.
Potential-wise, but, I mean, he's going to be a camp guy. People are going to see him up in St. Joe, catch a 70-yard touchdown.
He's going to win the T-shirt Olympics for sure.
Well, he's going to catch a pass on a guy that won't even be able to make a UFL team once he's cut from the Chiefs at the end. It's going to be a 4-string receiver. And he's going to catch a bomb from Garrett Nussmeier in preseason game 3, and everybody's going to be freaking out about it. I'll say this about Caldwell. He played at Lindenwood in Division II, right? He transferred to Cincinnati. When he went to college, he was 5'10", and he grew to 6'5". You don't see that, man. High school kids that go from 5'10" to 6'5", I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he's a freak, 4.31 at that size. He's got those measurables, but are measurables the same as production? His first year at Lindenwood, 7 catches. The next year, I think he had 32. He had 53 his final year at Lindenwood. Back at Cincinnati, he had 32. So it's not a guy that you sit there and say, well, he was always producing. He had, 80 to 100 catches every year. He didn't. 53 was the most he had, but that was at the Division II level at Lindenwood. Most of his college experience was at Lindenwood and not at Cincinnati. But he had 32 catches at Cincinnati, and you're thinking, okay, well, why wouldn't Cincinnati use anymore? I mean, they had Brendan Sorsby, who's in the news now for the gambling, but he got $5 million to go to Texas Tech. They had an NFL quarterback in Cincinnati, and he had 32 catches. So sometimes you got to rein in that. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work with O'Shea and everything. Not saying he can't get there because he's clearly got the intangibles to do it. I'm just saying he hasn't done it. He's got the speed, the size, everything else you want, but he didn't have the production to match it.
Which of these veteran wide receivers would you add? Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, or Jawan Jennings?
I'll let Rob answer this question. Which direction would I go in that? Jawan Jennings, Keenan Allen, or Tyreek Hill? I would say
Keenan Allen. He loves Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I would go Keenan. I mean, he's old. He's old as dirt.
Oh, he's old.
He was productive last year.
He absolutely was.
I wanted him last year. I wanted to bring him in last year. The thing with Tyreek is that is the $1 million question because he's still got to have one more surgery. How fast are you? Because that's his game is the 9-route and vertical. He had a lot of drops. Tyreek Hill had a lot of drops. He's top 5 dropping in football in the NFL a lot. That year he had 1,800 yards for Miami. He was number 2 in the NFL in drops. But you know what? People didn't care when he would drop 7-yard passes because they need to turn around and make that 80-yard bomb.
He also gets a huge amount of targets, too, that it kind of evens out.
Yeah, I mean, so he would get the one downfield, and you'd forget about the drops that he had because he'd get all the targets. He and Waddle would get the targets, so you'd forget. So is the speed still there? Because that's such a big part of his game. Could you rely on him if he didn't have the speed as much? Could you rely on him more as a pure pass catcher on different routes and utilize him that way? And as far as Jawan Jennings, man, he wanted $22 million. So obviously that price is going to go. I think you get a good 1-year deal. I like Jawan Jennings, but he's getting close to that 30-year-old threshold. He'll turn 29 this year.
He also seems like an attitude guy.
And the one thing with Jawan Jennings is
anytime other players say that they're happy that you got punched in the nuts.
Yeah.
That's just not a good situation.
And the one thing too with Jennings is 7th-round pick. So this is the stuff that happens when you throw more than one dart at receivers. You can end up with the Jawan Jennings.
They did that with running back because you were really big on that. Let me ask you this really quickly.
And Jawan Jennings, by the way, is his top catches ever in the NFL was 77 that 1 year. That's it. He's had 35, 24, 19, 55. Not exactly like a guy you say he's 100 receptions every year.
No. I don't think the Chiefs are asking him to be that kind of guy. Are you going to join me on the bandwagon and go get Cam Jordan?
I'm already there, man. I'm right there with you, man.
You're riding with me. Okay, good. I'm happy to know that I got people
back there
in the
with
car
the beer
with me.
and grilling the burgers. I'm ready to go.
Okay. This seems like a no-brainer to me to go get Cam Jordan.
I was on the Calais Campbell at the trade deadline last year, but obviously it wouldn't have mattered.
This is a 1-year, $10 million, could be up to $13 million with incentives. Come in here, help mentor the young guys, and be a third. It makes so much sense for a team like Kansas City.
Great character guy that would slip right into your clubhouse.
Trying to go get him a championship.
Bringing guys to the locker room. he's the guy you can
Also,
bring
I mean,
in.
what I would really sell Cam Jordan is, I would say right now, a lot of people consider you to be a borderline Hall of Famer. You will be a surefire Hall of Famer if you are a contributor on Kansas City and
Had
make
that
a
ring.
deep run in the postseason. I think that makes all the sense in the world. All right, if you got a question for Binkley, 913-586-7965. We're going to do rapid fire with Binkley. We'll do a little bit of draft. We'll do a little bit of random question. We'll also reset things at the top. Coming up in about 45 minutes or so, it would appear that Kansas is going to get the #1 high school basketball recruit. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
On your home for Chiefs football, 96.5, The Fan.
Spring is here, and as the weather heats up, the sports action heats up at Circa Sports. From baseball to basketball to hockey, Circa Sports has it all. Circa Sports isn't just sports betting, it's sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, player-friendly pricing, and exceptional customer service. Whether you're looking for playoff futures or props on your favorite players and more, Circa Sports has you covered. And don't miss out on the special Royals props for every game. Download Circa Sports app or visit circasports.com today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation. Call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
Growing a brand is hard, but reaching the right customers shouldn't be. Meet Outcomes from Viant. We've built an intelligent platform that handles the complexity of digital advertising for you. Powered by advanced AI, we help your brand show up in the right places at the right time and ensure that every dollar you spend leads to a real business result. It's smarter advertising made simple. Visit Viant.ai.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement. Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
In a world in need of a hero, one man rises to the challenge in style. He is...
just driving the kids to soccer practice.
Make every day feel epic in the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid with up to an EPA-estimated 619 miles of range on select trims, advanced tech, and class-leading interior space. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
And hey, come on, no cleats on the seats.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/protect. That's ethos.com/protect. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99 now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
A crash southbound I-35 at Shawnee Mission Parkway has traffic stalling to 635. As a result, southbound 635 jams up at Shawnee Drive. Southbound Metcalf Avenue is heavily congested from I-35 down to West 71st. I'm Bill Brooks, 96.5 The Fan traffic.
Hey, it's George Karlaftis from the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome to the Drive with CDOT on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very happy to be here. We will reset things coming up at the top of the hour. Kansas, it looks like they are going to get the #1 high school basketball recruit. He is actually going to make his announcement coming up today at 5:30 on Inside the NBA. We do plan on carrying that live. So if you want to hear Tyron Stokes' announcement, it would appear that it is between Kansas or Kentucky. We will play that for you coming up at 5:30. We got Binkley in studio here talking a little bit of NFL draft. Binkley, I have a couple more questions, but this time is not about me. Rex Hudler told me some of the best radio advice I've ever gotten. We do this job for the people. It's all about the people. The people have requested it. It's my responsibility to give them what they asked for. What time is it, Binkley?
Random question time.
Text line 913-586-7965. Do you have a random question for Jay Binkley? This is a great question. Bink, whose future is more tightly hitched to Rashid? Is it Veach or Reed?
Who's mostly tied to
Rashid? That's the question. Whose future is more tightly hitched to Rashid? Is it Veach or Reed?
I guess Veach. Because he was his dart. He was his one receiver he picked. He actually had a pretty good rookie year, but I'd say Veach. I'd say the GM.
Someone texted this in. Guys, Rashee Rice's last 17 games, he has a little less than 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. Why do people keep saying that wide receiver is a need for the Chiefs this year?
Did you watch the games?
I do think that people have. There has been a huge pendulum swing. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen is you actually have to play. Because when Rashee Rice was suspended and he was coming back from injury, the hype and anticipation for Rashee coming back, he was supposed to transform the Chiefs' offense. That didn't happen. He got into another off-the-field incident, and now I feel like the people have turned. Now, the mob is fickle. We all know how this is. Rashee Rice gets off to a good start. He will get a lot of the people back. But I do think that we've seen Rashee go from very overvalued by Chiefs fans to now being incredibly undervalued by Chiefs fans.
Well, he came back this year. When he came back, he had one game over 100 yards when he was receiving. I've always liked Rashee Rice. I was advocating for him to get that contract extension because I liked him that much until his incident, even after the incident, because it would be cheaper. You'd get a top 20 receiver at the top 30 money at that point because of the money that he had spent. I figured you'd get a deal on him because he's got that big knock, the NFL game with the 6 games that could turn into a lot more. But he had that connection with Mahomes. I was like, every quarterback needs their dude. And when Kelsey leaves, like he needs that guy. And he had that connection, that chemistry with Rashee Rice, going all the way back to Camp Pat before even Rice, because it was at SMU. So, he was there. So they built that connection right away. And I can understand why he's extremely, extremely talented guy. And I was for Rashee Rice, but then you see the drops that you have, the look at attention, all of a sudden, you end up with, 7 drops on the season, and you start building those drops. They all had a drop problem. Even Travis Kelce had a drop problem last year, but that was the frustrating thing, not keeping drives alive because you're dropping the football or beating man coverage because teams would switch to man, and they couldn't do anything.
Binkley, do you think you will see the Michael Jackson movie?
I don't know. It's going to be one of those late nights. You're sitting there and you're just watching Michael Jackson. I listened to your review over it.
Do you have
a
favorite?
It's just the good stuff. It's just the good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
It is absolutely just the good stuff.
Which is fine. That's keep it positive.
Do you have a favorite Michael Jackson song?
No, Thriller.
Okay, I was curious. Do you think if Bink said or if Speck was trying to get a TikTok, would you do the Thriller dance for us?
I could not even.
Okay, I was just curious.
I could not even attempt it.
Binkley, was there a draft prospect that you were very wrong about? When you think back to your time evaluating this thing, was there a player?
throughout the years?
Yeah, just was there a draft prospect you were wrong about?
Oh, plenty of them. Maybe Watson the most because of the injury problems he's had. He can't stay on the field. I really liked Christian Watson a lot. So maybe him. Hell, I even like Sky Moore throughout the process, too. So, but definitely Watson.
A lot of people like Sky. 913-586-7965. Now we're doing random question time for Jay Binkley. If you got a question, whether draft or otherwise, be sure to send it in. Bink, I'm a Broncos fan. What is your AFC West prediction this year, record-wise?
I have the Chiefs with 12, Broncos and team, and I think the Raiders. I think they can get up to maybe 7.
Bink, do you have a favorite flavor of chew?
Wintergreen, long cut wintergreen.
Is it a big difference in the brands? I don't know. I've never used it.
I've just always done wintergreen.
Okay.
I mean, the plain one was okay, but wintergreen, it was Skull, now it's Copenhagen.
Okay.
Why
do you like one more than the other?
I don't know. It's just something I've always done.
Okay.
I've just always gone with the wintergreen.
Stephon Diggs, yay or nay?
Nay.
Bink, what's your favorite local beer?
Boulevard. Unfiltered wheat.
Just a classic. It's never done anybody
For
wrong.
local, yeah. It's
You can pull up with the Boulevard wheat for any occasion. You could just be watching the game. You could be having a steak at 1587.
No matter what you're eating, what you're doing.
You could be at the lake. It's
mowing.
It's tried and true.
That'd be the best. That'd be the favorite local, I guess. I mean, it's just hard to beat.
Give me a prediction of an undrafted guy you think could make the team.
I think Caldwell can. I mean, I know he's going to be the can guy, but on the practice squad for a couple of years, do I see him being the next Justin Ross? 100%.
Jeff Caldwell has to have that.
I think he can have some Ross instincts with him as far as the fan love for him.
Yeah, he has to have the Isaiah Pacheco, I'm here to take somebody's job. He needs to try to take Nico Remigio's job. I don't see a scenario in which Nico Remigio and Jeff Caldwell both make the 53-man roster. That's whose position you should be gunning for. You got to try to beat him out.
It's going to be tough. And again, the wide receiver is thin after 4. I mean, there's going to be an open competition for at least the last 3 spots with this team. I don't even know if they're going to keep 7. They might just keep 6. So we'll have to see what they do with the running back situation. They got so many good ones. What are they going to do with the running backs? Who's going to get the ball? Because you bring in DeMarcado and Walker, and you add, Emmett Johnson. I mean, it's a full running back room, which is a good thing.
Someone says, Jay, what do you think about the Chiefs playing at quarterback? Do you think they could trade Fields or Nussmeier prior to the season for a draft pick or keep all 3?
I think you'd keep all 3 at this point. They have plans, I think, for Fields, with different type of situation. Let's remember this, too. Justin Fields actually has a season where he had more rushing yards than Kenneth Walker's ever had in his career. Like, he had a single season with rushing where he had more than Kenneth Walker's ever done. Not saying he's anywhere near there, but I'm saying the guy's got elite talent as far as the gadget plays he can do. And, you can still trust him to throw it as well. I mean, it's not his game, so to speak, but he's a pure quarterback. And Nussmeier is one of those guys that you draft, and it's really weird. Like, it's a draft pick, and you never hope you see him. Like, you draft him, and you never hope he gets on the field. Because if he gets on the field, there's big problems.
Someone on the text line is mad that I said
The Drive.
Breaking news.
First to breaking
I don't even know
news
what it
in
is.
Kansas
This is a
City.
surprise to me. It's got to be KU related. You were too quick to hit it.
It is not KU related. Per Pete Thamel of ESPN, college writer, sources, the NCAA has initiated the final steps to expand both the men's and women's basketball tournaments. The deal will be formalized in mid-May. The tournaments are moving to 76 teams beginning as soon as next year. They are in the final steps of expanding the NCAA tournaments.
Ugh. Why?
Thanks, Bink. It's ridiculous. There's no other. It's ridiculous.
If you would have said football going to 24, okay.
I don't want that either.
I do. I'll take that.
I don't know what our obsession is with watering down the regular season for the playoffs when the playoffs are you don't ever need to make the playoffs more exciting. It's the pursuit for a championship, and there's an urgency to it.
A lot of times you mess with a good thing, and the tournament's a good thing.
I just don't know why college basketball, that is a 4-month sport, is doing everything in its power for 3 weeks. Why not? Let's try to make the 4 months a more. We never needed to make March Madness more exciting. It's a single elimination 3-weekend tournament. I also don't know why, for all the jokes that we made about the NIT, now the plan is basically to roll the NIT into the NCAA tournament. This is just, it's such a bad idea. The only reason we are doing this is because these conferences have expanded so much that they have to figure out a way to justify you being the 12th team in the SEC and making the tournament, or being the 14th team in the Big Ten and making the tournament. That's the only reason we are expanding the NCAA tournament. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
True TV's loving it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Mythbusters is going crazy right now. That is Jay Binkley joining us in studio to talk a little NFL draft. Coming up on the other side, we will recap everything. We'll reset everything. We'll get you ready for the announcement. Where is Tyran Stokes going to play basketball next year? Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on Kansas City's only FM sports station, 96.5, The Fan. Here's your traffic report on 96.5, The Fan.
A crash southbound I-35 at Shawnee Mission Parkway has traffic stalling to 635. As a result, southbound 635 jams up at Shawnee Drive. Southbound Metcalf Avenue is heavily congested from I-35 down to West 71st. I'm Bill Brooks, 96.5 The Fan traffic.
Hello?
Hey, sis. Got a sec?
Yeah, what's up?
Take a look at the picture I just sent you. I'm walking into Hellsburg and want to get Mom something special for Mother's Day.
Yeah, she's done so much for us this year. Let's see. Diamond pendant. Oh, she'd love this.
Great. I'll get this, which means you're in charge of flowers.
Okay, deal.
This Mother's Day, save up to 50% on timeless gifts for Mom. Shop at a store near you or at Hellsburg.com.
Hey, it's Dusty Likens, and you know baseball's back. BetMGM, the official partner of Major League Baseball, is bringing the high heat all season long. All season long, you can log into the BetMGM app and receive top-tier promos that put you in the batter's box and up the excitement for America's pastime. Step up to the plate all season with Swing for the Fences, the free-to-play game where every swing could score you rewards. We're talking parlay boost tokens, odds boost tokens, same-game parlay boosts, and even bonus spins all season long. And the action doesn't stop there. Get more out of every at-bat and every inning with MLB same-game parlay boosts. Stack your picks and boost your potential payout. Plus, lock in bigger value with MLB odds boost tokens and MLB parlay boost tokens all season long. More boosts, more swings, more chances to win. Download the BetMGM app and step up to the plate today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLERS. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and older only. Missouri only. Existing customer offers subject to eligibility requirements. Please gamble responsibly.
Hello, Kansas City. Bank of America, in partnership with Visa, invites you to a FIFA World Cup 26 watch party. Open an eligible Bank of America checking account in participating financial centers only for an opportunity to reserve 2 complimentary tickets while supplies last. Experience special musical guests, games, giveaways, food, and more, all at a legendary venue. Learn more at BofA.com/BofA Visa Watch Party. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 26. Bank of America and a member FDIC. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Now's the time to complete that painting project you've been putting off. CertaPro Painters provides a free estimate quickly and at the right price. Whether it's interior or exterior, you'll never have to wonder what's next. They provide reliable updates because they know how important your home is to you. Ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th. Remember, each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in Kansas City. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
I hope you're sitting down. The ACA Marketplace has announced significant increases on monthly premiums with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Matt B. and KC at BBS Insurance's Freedom of Choice plan now. You don't have to wait. Their plan lets you use any doctor, has 0 outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower costs than most Obamacare plans. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you are a small business owner or pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive. Call Matt B. in KC for an instant quote over the phone at 816-205-4664. That's 816-205-4664. Or go to bbsinsurance.net. That's bbsinsurance.net. They will customize a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government.
Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch all your favorite shows, shorts, and clips. This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
Congratulations on getting through your 9 to 5. Thank you so much for listening. It is The Drive. You were listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. A little bit more basketball than I was anticipating when I woke up today. We now know that Tyran Stokes, who is the #1 high school basketball recruit, he is going to make his announcement. He is going to make his announcement coming up in about 30 minutes. We are going to try to play it live for you. He is going to make his announcement on ESPN. So let's give you the lowdown. He signed an NIL deal with Nike. Kansas is an Adidas school. Now, we are hearing that does not matter as much anymore. It is my belief that Tyron Stokes is going to commit to the University of Kansas and is going to do that coming up in 30 minutes or so. We had somebody on from Kentucky. He didn't sound too optimistic about this. We had somebody on from Kansas. He did sound optimistic about this. Rob, I would say if at this point, if Tyron Stokes goes to Kentucky, this will be a DeAndre Ayton level of surprise. I thought DeAndre Ayton was going to Kansas. I know a lot of people that also thought DeAndre Ayton was going to Kansas. And then Arizona swooped in at the last second, I believe made him a sweetheart deal, and ultimately he ended up being a Wildcat. That's what I think would have to happen here with Tyron Stokes. I think all of the momentum, all of the smoke, all of the rumor, I think a lot of it is pushing toward the direction that Tyron Stokes is going to play basketball at Allen Fieldhouse next year.
I feel like the momentum is definitely pushing in that direction, but you mentioned DeAndre Ayton. There have been countless recruits as a Kansas fan that I felt like, oh, he's a Jayhawk. And then somehow, some way, they put on a different hat. They go to a different school, whatever the end all be all, but they end up not at Kansas. So Shrias Ladha said it perfectly. The Kentucky person we had on said it perfectly. This has been a very up and down, tumultuous recruiting cycle for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. So let's just wait until he's on ESPN before I, count my chickens or whatever the saying is.
If you guys can let me get on my soapbox here for just a little bit. It frustrates me that we get so upset at these kids for, in essence, being greedy. I think that Flory is greedy. I think that Flory was making great money to play basketball at Kansas and entered the transfer portal so he can make more money at Louisville. We get on these kids for everybody chasing a dollar, but yet we let these teams, we let these leagues, every decision they make is to increase their own profits. There is no logical explanation or reasoning outside of money that you could make to argue why expanding the NCAA tournament is the right decision. Other than money, which obviously they are going to make more money. They're going to sell more tickets. We're going to watch these games. That is true. It does not make the regular season a better product. It does not make the NCAA tournament a better product. I don't know why we are so obsessed with trying to add to the postseason when the postseason is always going to have its own measure of urgency to it. Your team can be eliminated. It's the pursuit of a championship. There is a finality to it. It is, you have been watching this television show for 3-4 months, and now you are watching the season finale of it. What's going to happen? You can't turn your eyes away from it. Why college basketball would try to continue to water down its regular season to try to prop up its postseason, a postseason that everybody loves and supports and watches anyway, just seems very backwards to me in all of this. They are going in the wrong direction. We want more great matchups. We want more great regular season games. We want more rivalry games. Why they would continue to water down the regular season, take away any intrigue to it, to now expand the bubble is just, it other than financial gain, it doesn't make any sense to me. I firmly believe the only reason we are doing this outside of money is We have now expanded these conferences past the point that they should be, that now you got to try to justify why to add more teams in the Big Ten and the SEC. And now it's a badge of honor for the SEC to be able to say, well, every team made the tournament. Or for the Big Ten, no, sometimes you just got to be mad and you got to live with your decision. If you're Oregon and you chose to join the Big Ten, you made this decision to join a more competitive conference. You had things great the way that it was. You were unhappy with it. You wanted more money, and now you've traded it. This does not benefit the viewer. This does not benefit the sport in really any way other than the powers that be. They always want more. We're constantly talking about expanding. We got to expand the football playoff. We got to expand the basketball playoff. We got to change conferences to make more money. We need new television deals. We can't get mad at these kids for being greedy while simultaneously not pushing back on these schools for being as equally as greedy as these kids entering the transfer portal.
It's been pushing in this direction for a long way, and I hate it. I'm with you. I hate it. The fact that Auburn, I will cherry pick Auburn, last Selection Sunday had that graphic about most Q1 games, and, they had this amount of Q1 wins. They didn't have any Q4 losses, and da-da-da. They were sub 500 in the SEC, and they were out in the second round of their conference tournament? That would have literally never been a debate 5-6 years ago about, is Auburn good enough to make the tournament? And yet they were the big outrage about they were left out this year. And now we will not be outraged about Auburn anymore, because now Auburn's in. Auburn's going to be in Dayton, and we're going to have sub 500 conference teams in, and we will continue to punish the little guy. We will go out of our way to run down Miami, Ohio resume every year while making sure that TCU or West Virginia or Oklahoma, teams that are in the CBI last year, have a reason to make the big tournament. I hate the expansion, and I hate that it's for the big conferences. And what makes college basketball and the March Madness special is the Missouri State, the Valpo, Bucknell, Bradley, these schools that broke my heart. That's what makes it fun. But we've expanded to make sure that, USC, who is not very good, gets in the tournament, and we all get to see Gilbert Arenas' kid. It just is bad.
Yeah, it always trips me up. We can move on from this. I don't want to spend all time talking about the NCAA tournament. We have spent our entire lives being told how bad participation trophies are. For the people that spent our whole life telling us how bad they are, to just fall over themselves to create more participation trophies. If your team doesn't make the NCAA tournament with this expanded field, I don't want to hear from you. All we've done is continue to lower the bar of expectation or lower the threshold. It is no longer an accomplishment to simply make the NCAA tournament, just like it is no longer an accomplishment to simply make a bowl game. You can manipulate making a bowl game, play 4 Rudy Poo teams, win 2 games in your league. You cannot have a good season. Next thing you know, you look up and you're in a bowl game. I just don't know why we've created so many participation trophies in college athletics, but the game is the game. They're making a whole lot of money off of it. All right, let's reset things and let's talk about the NFL draft. So, Rob, you and I looked this up because we were curious with the Chiefs. So you and I looked it up from a standpoint of, what would you count as a hit in the NFL draft? And we kind of spaced it out a little bit. So we have, what picks would we classify as a home run? What would be a single? What would be a double, a triple? And what would be a strikeout? I think we could agree back in 2022, the Chiefs hit a lot of home runs. Trent McDuffie is a home run. George Karlaftis, I would consider him to be a double or a triple. Jalen Watson is a home run given where he was selection. I would even consider Isaiah Pacheco to be a home run given where he was selected. Leo Chenal, very good player. Brian Cook, very good player. The Chiefs for a 2021 and 2022, they shot an incredible percentage from the field, and then it changed. In 2023, Felix Anudike-Uzama, Rashee Rice, Wanye Morris, Chamari Connor, B.J. Thompson, Keandre Coburn, Nick Jones. There is not a single home run in that group. I don't even know if I think there's a triple in there. Sure, Rashee Rice had a phenomenal rookie year. I don't know if you can say that about his second or third season. Now, he can still turn things around. Let's see how this contract. They did not hit a home run and didn't really come close to hitting a home run. In 2024, the Chiefs trade up a little bit to go get Xavier Worthy. They also draft Kingsley Suamataia, Jared Wiley, Jaden Hicks, Hunter Norzad, Kamal Hayden, CJ Hansen. Not really a home run in that draft class either. I'm not even sure, Rob, if there's a double in the 2024 class. I mean, who would you consider to be a double? Would you consider Xavier Worthy to be a double? Would you consider Kingsley Suamataia? Like, I don't know if I would put those guys in that category. Now, we can fast forward to last year's draft class. It's just a bunch of mystery around it. There's a lot of mystery around Josh Simmons, who only played in 8 games last year. He was gone for a month and then was injured for another month. Omar Norman Lott only played in 5 games last year. Ashton Gelati didn't really contribute until Thanksgiving or later. Noel Williams is in that exact same category. Jalen Royals couldn't get on the field last year. I like Jeffrey Bassa, but he's a 5th-round linebacker, not really a sack guy, a guy that's going to get a bunch of tackles. He's fine for the 156th overall pick. And Brashard Smith, I think he's done. Like, he might be on the team, but I mean, look at how they completely transformed that room. I mean, Brashard Smith couldn't really get on the field last year with that running back room. We think he's getting on the field a lot in this running back room. The best thing for Brashard Smith is to change positions. Like, the best thing for him is to now try to be wide receiver number 4, or you need to be a dynamite special teams player. This team took some big chances in this NFL draft. They traded up to the 6th overall pick. We should not be debating in a couple of years on what Mansour Delane is. He needs to be a home run. He needs to be a Pro Bowler for the next 3 years. He needs to be an all-pro type. He needs to be a legitimate one. I was thinking this, Rob. I think Mansour Delane either has to do 2 things to justify being the number 6 overall pick. I think he has to sign a second contract in Kansas City, and he is the first secondary player that they've given this second contract to, or they need to trade him for 2 first-round picks. Because if they trade him for 2 first-round picks, that means he becomes a star. If the Broncos were shopping Patrick Surtain after his rookie contract, he would have got you 2 first-round picks. The Colts went out and traded for Sauce Gardner. He went for a pretty penny. He went for a heavy ransom. If Mansour Delane is going to live up to his expectations, he needs to either fit one of these 2 things. He needs to be a guy that if you decide to trade him, when you trade him, you get the 17th overall pick in the 2031 draft, and you get a random pick in the 2032 draft, or he needs to be a guy that plays well enough that Brett Veach breaks his own rule and his own tradition and gives a second contract to. Now, we're talking about individual things. A Pro Bowl or All-Pro needs to be considered one of those guys. But, Rob, I don't think necessarily if they don't sign him to a second deal, that's not the worst thing in the world. But you can't get the 29th overall pick and a 5th-round pick and then tell me that he lived up to expectations. No, not with where you drafted him at.
I actually agree wholeheartedly with you. I understand when Brett Veach turned and burned on Trent McDuffie. I understand when he turned and burned on L'Jarius Sneed, walked on Charvarius Ward. Walked on Jalen Watson. We can name the things he's done at corner. I think these are all different situations than Mansour Delane. Mansour Delane is a top 10 pick. It is not in the best practice of the NFL to be acquiring top 10 picks, trying to have them be good, and then trading them out for more picks. That is not how I would do it, especially considering he's not just a top 10 pick. You gave up assets to go up and get him. So it's different for me than Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed or whomever. So I am a big proponent of, with all draft picks in the first round, they need to be 2 contract players. And with Delane, I'm even more steadfast, more adamant in that regard, because I want Delane to not be a, hey, we look back in 5 years and they turned him into the 28th overall pick. Well, that's not good enough. You spent the 6th on him. That's a losing proposition.
I want to play this for you. This was Matt Verderame. So we were talking to him earlier about Mansour Delane, and he said that he is a no red flag kind of player.
I will say this. The hit rate on top 10 corners is tremendous. There are no red flags. That guy can play every position. I wrote about him before the draft. He was a top 5 player in the draft for me. I thought he was up there with Love, Reese, Bailey. You know, I actually thought they were going to take Bain when they moved up, but I think that Delane's a cleaner prospect. So I don't have the concern that you do with Bain with the arms, whether or not that's something that's important, we'll see.
I do give the Chiefs a lot of credit for this now that the dust is settled. I know you might have wanted Ruben Bain. There's no question he comes with major hesitation and red flags. Maybe you wanted the Chiefs to go get Jordan Tyson, who I think you could argue was the best receiver in this class. But when you miss a third of your games and you had various injuries throughout your entire college career, you are inherently a red flag. We're talking about a guy who played at a high level in the SEC, a guy that was an All-American, a guy who was arguably the best corner in college football last year with minimal injury history. I mean, in terms of as safe as a top 10 pick that you can make, I think Mansour Delane checks off a lot of boxes. I do think some of the frustration has subsided a little bit now that I think we are starting to find out a little bit more on how the Chiefs felt about Ruben Bain. I don't think they were all gung-ho about it. And I think as people are starting to learn a little bit more about Mansour Delane, I think he's a very, very good pick who has a chance of becoming a superstar corner in the National Football League, given the situation that he's in. I think it's a good selection. I want to play one more thing for Matt Verderame. We'll make this the default hit number one. So Rob and I have been debating this today. Do you want the Chiefs to go pick up a free agent D end, or do you want them to go pick up a free agent wide receiver? Here's what Matt Verderame said.
But I really do think between now and camp, they've got to sign somebody. Whether that is Diggs, if his off-the-field stuff is good, whether that is Tyreek Hill, if he can play, who knows, whether that is Keenan Allen. Like they are going to have to get somebody because you can't go into camp and have Jalen Royals as wide receiver 4. I mean, that is just, you have no idea what you're getting out of him or Cyrus Allen. It's a very tenuous position to be in.
I mean, the real answer to this is both. But at sports talk radio, it doesn't really sound that good if the answer to the question is both. So you have to create an either or. Would you rather go get this or you rather go get this? Everything that you just heard Matt Verderame say about wide receiver is exactly what I would say about defensive end. Like, literally everything. Hey, if this injury happens, it creates a massive ripple effect throughout the rest of the team. The Chiefs have 2 guys with any history of getting to the other team's quarterback. Chris Jones, who is on, the 15th or 16th hole of his career. And on the other side, you got George Karlaftis, who has never really reached the ceiling that a lot of people thought that he could reach. Outside of that, the rest of their defensive line is just a group of uncertainty. They don't have one single veteran with the history of getting to the other team's quarterback. They got a bunch of defensive linemen who don't have the experience. I'm not saying guys who haven't performed, but Ashton Gelati just hasn't played a lot of games. Omar Norman Lott was injured last year. R. Mason Thomas, he was in Oklahoma last year, so he couldn't have helped the Chiefs last year. They just have so much uncertainty. So at least for me, in this scenario, if we are forcing you to pick an extreme, if you are forcing me to pick, hey, you got to go get a defensive end that you think can help with a little bit of juice, or you could go get a wide receiver with a little bit of juice, I'm willing to go get that pass rusher now. And if the Chiefs need a wide receiver, you can find a wide receiver in October. Now, you're going to have to give up a 2027 draft pick, and I actually think a lot of teams are going to be very hesitant to do it because of how they feel about this upcoming draft class. I think you're going to see a lot of teams that choose to just, hey, we'll wait till the draft process to go get our player. But I think you can find a pass rusher now, and I think you can wait to go get yourself a wide receiver. So if you're asking me right now, I will continue to say I am on team go get Cam Jordan. They need somebody on the other side of George Karlaftis, and that somebody can't be Ashton Gelati. It can't just be R. Mason Thomas, that they are counting on these 2 guys who have never done it before at this level to be legitimate counterparts to what George Karlaftis is. They need one more guy. I am team go get Cam Jordan.
I am actually with you on team Cam Jordan, but when it comes to Tyreek Hill or Cam Jordan, here's why I'm going to be Cam Jordan. It's different than your reason, because if the question was, hey, are you team Jawan Jennings or Cam Jordan, I would be team Jawan Jennings. Tyreek Hill, I have massive questions about his health. Massive. Just enormous. He said on his Twitch, this is not like reporting, this is not hearsay, it's not innuendo. He said on his Twitch page, he has another surgery coming this offseason. Nate Taylor and Matt Verderame, very good at their jobs, have said, you're looking at a guy who's probably not going to play in September, probably not going to play in October. You're hoping either November or late October.
Work between come here for the mandatory, meet your teammates. exchange numbers, dap guys up, and if you guys want to go work in the offseason, great. We have you here, you got our playbook, and once we come to training camp, you are ready to go. I mean, nobody wants to go to training camp, but that's the job. That's why you get paid millions. Cam Jordan route wide receiver. I don't know if you have the sense of urgency, or I don't know if you need to have that sense of urgency at wide receiver. There does need to be some sense of urgency on that other side of the defensive line, and there's just not a lot of options. It's really either Cam Jordan or Joey Bosa. That's really it at this point with any history and any track record of being able to get after the other team's quarterback. I'm not talking about breaking the bank for these guys. I'm not talking about committing multiple years to these guys. But I will stress this all summer. Outside of Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, the Chiefs have absolutely no clue where their pass rush is coming from. And I think we've seen if your pass rush plan is Spags has to scheme all of it, you are in trouble. You are in trouble if that is the plan. Go spend the money now. You know how I always say some things are March and April problems. And sometimes in September, I wish they know you missed your window to be able to fix it. We can already see that there is a chance that their inexperience up front can hurt them. Why don't you go ahead and address that right now? Go ahead and move around what you need to move around and go get Cam Jordan. That's what I would do.
Let me ask you this, because you are all in on Team Cam Jordan. That's fine. If I change the wide receiver like I did with Juwan Jennings, is that going to change things for you, or are you Cam Jordan no matter what? I can name any free agent. Any player available, Cam Jordan is your 1-1. I believe it's I think it's
yes,
Mike.
I would go get Cam Jordan over any available player.
I think it's Mike Clay that is the top free agent list available. You would have him 1-1. You would have him AJ DeBansta, because I know we're about to talk about high school basketball.
For what the Chiefs need, yes. There is not a world in which, at least not cheaply, maybe that's a better way of putting it. If the Chiefs have a pass rush problem in October, you are not solving it for the cheap. It's going to cost a second or a third round pick if you want to solve DN problem. Let's say you're wrong on Ashton Gelati. Let's say you're wrong on R. Mason Thomas, and they can't help you this year. It will be very expensive to try to fix your pass rush problem. You can fix the pass rush problem now when all it is salary cap. And if you need to go get a wide receiver in October, you can go get some at a much more reasonable price. That's kind of how I would evaluate it. Someone on the text line says, what does his cap situation look like? He is actually an unrestricted free agent. So he is just sitting there available. You can just go sign him right now to whatever deal that you want to go get. You don't even got to trade for him. So that is why I would go get Cam Jordan. All right, Rob, let's shout out Baker University. Then we'll step aside here and we'll get you guys ready for the announcement as Tyran Stokes is going to decide where he is going to play college basketball next year. Is it going to be Kansas or is it going to be Kentucky?
Your workday is over.
Oh, yeah.
You're headed home, and now you're stuck in traffic. Time to get caught up on the biggest stories in Kansas City and around the country with CDOT and Rob. It's time for the hits. Number 1.
Carrying the hits are brought to you by the Salvation Army. Get your tickets today at kickhungerkc.com for the Salvation Army's lunch, which will take place on May 7th.
Rob, you feeling nervous heading into this?
I'm just ready for it to be over.
I'm asking if you're nervous.
I'm a little nervous.
I'm only asking this question because, and I don't even say this as a Missouri fan, if Kansas does not get Tyron Stokes, they are in trouble for this upcoming season.
Trouble's relative, but yes.
They're not going to have that guy.
Correct.
They're not going to have that guy. That's being in trouble to me in the conference that they are in. They are not going to have the best player, go get a bucket, preseason All-American. Like Tyron Stokes is going to be a preseason All-American. He's one of the 5 best players in college basketball next year. Now, let's hope it goes better than the Darren Peterson experience. It's not hard to be much better than that. I mean, there's a chance that you could have the best player in college basketball. There's no chance that Tyron Stokes goes to Kentucky. That's over. That Taylon Kinney kid is not going to be the best player in the sport next year. What's that kid? The Biden kid, Leroy. Leroy Biden ain't being the best player in college basketball next year. You are not going to have that. They need this recruitment. Same thing for Kentucky. Kentucky also needs them. They are in an even worse situation, I think, than what Kansas is in. This is a very, very big decision that has a lot of power on where things could potentially land once college basketball gets here. So let's step aside. When we come back, we're going to continue to monitor it. We will go to it live. Tyran Stokes, the number 1 high school basketball recruit, he is going to make his decision. Is he going to Kansas or Kentucky? We'll find out together. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
Tune in to hear the Hall of Fame voice of the Royals, Denny Matthews.
There's a high fly ball.
Deep left center. That goes Ward to the wall. Gone. Bobby Witt Jr.
Every Monday at 3, right here on your home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan.
This is one of my favorite times of the sports calendar, and FanDuel is celebrating it right. FanDuel is serving up a happy hour every day of the NBA playoffs. We're talking special drops that you don't want to miss, from profit boosts to bonus bets and more. The best part of this is it's every single day. All you need to do is head to FanDuel.com/local to get started. I absolutely love the NBA playoffs. I'm talking of every day, every night. Incredible basketball played at the highest level by the biggest stars in the game. So it doesn't matter if it's a buzzer beater or it's a series sweep. They got you covered over on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. So whether you're betting the early game or you're getting ready for the prime time, make sure that you open up the FanDuel app and see what's waiting for you today. Go to FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel, an official partner of the NBA and also the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 are present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, I'm Emily, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where fine jewelry is always crafted with care no matter the price. Mother's Day, birthdays and graduations, weddings and anniversaries, the new job you got, and even the one you didn't. Give a birthstone necklace, a heart-shaped locket made in Italy, or high-quality diamond studs you can trade up every year. At Shane Company, we have something for everyone, because a friend wants you to win the gifting game. Visit us in store or at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Lockridge, and I'm the host of a new podcast from Odyssey called Family Lore. In this podcast, I'm going to have people on to tell unusual and sometimes far-fetched stories about their families.
I've heard my whole life that she invented the margarita.
And then, we're going to investigate those stories and find out how much of it is true.
He gets a patent 1 month before the Wright brothers. Oh my God.
Please follow and listen to Family Lore, an Odyssey podcast, available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your shows.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement. Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
DQ presents the $7 meal deal, a delicious meal serving up serious value. We're talking 100% white meat, seasoned chicken strips, full-size fries, a drink, and of course, a classic DQ sundae. Because come on, no meal is complete without a sweet treat. All for just $7. And now you can try it with the new honey sriracha dip. The DQ $7 meal deal, a satisfying meal full of big flavor for a great value. DQ, happy tastes good.
Wouldn't you like to take a vacation from your bills? Well, you can. With credit card balances at an all-time high and Golden Oak's 4.5% rate, you could be saving thousands of dollars after a simple phone call. Call today and get your cash in as little as 14 days and make no payments for 2 months. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Royals coverage is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City.
Brought to you by Blue KC is the Coaches with Character program. Do you know a rock star high school coach in your district? Nominate them for the Blue KC Coaches with Character program at bluekc.com/nominate coaches with character. Let's make our coaches feel special and make our community a better place to live, work, and play.
Tonight, expect a low of 44 with partly cloudy skies.
Weather brought to you by Duke's Mayo. Welcome to Duke's Mayo country, where the mayo is so smooth and creamy, it makes every bite better. Duke's Mayo. Look for the yellow lid.
Here's your traffic report on 96.5 The Fan.
I-635 is stop and go before and after the merge with Highway 5, which is closed, and a wreck westbound Truman Road snarls the flow from I-35 to Main Street. I'm Bill Brooks, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
All right, welcome back into the show. We are monitoring right now the Tyran Stokes announcement. I promise you, when they start, we will head there. Rob is keeping an eye on it. So if there's one thing I know, when there's major news about to happen in Kansas, Rob is on it. So the moment that it happens, we will be there. I want to play for you guys a couple pieces of audio related to the draft until we get there. So this is Dane Brugler. He was on Kay Adams' show, and they were talking about Peter Woods. I think this is a very, very fair point from Dane Brugler. Here he is.
Peter Woods will be interesting because he has all the talent in the world. It's just I want to see it more. You know, why are you still a caterpillar and not yet a butterfly? That's my question with Peter Woods, because you do see the talent, and when you grade to the flashes, I understand why he was a first-round pick. Now it's up to those coaches to get the most out of him. He actually had more rushing yards last year than he did pressures, and that's not exactly ideal for a defensive tackle. But again, to come back and get our Mason Thomas, I think they really remade that defense, which is what they wanted to do.
He did not misspeak with Peter Woods. Peter Woods had 2 rushing touchdowns last season. They used him as sort of a short yardage refrigerator Perry type option. There's no question about the athleticism. There's no question about the skill set there. This is a player that needs to be coached. These are just the kind of prospects that you get with the 29th overall pick. If he put it together more in college, he would have been a top 10 pick. He didn't, so he fell toward the back half of the first round, but the physical traits jump off the screen. And now the question is, can you take all of those raw tools and can you now turn them into being a productive player? Let's see if he can end up doing that in Kansas City. So that is what Dane Brugler had to say. Here's what Steve Palazzolo had to say about Peter Woods, the 29th overall pick in this year's draft.
The players who have a better career than a final season, meaning they disappointed in their final year, they actually perform better at the NFL level than players who went the other way and had a final season peak, who had a one-year wonder, the one-year wonder that I talk about. So in this class, the one-year wonder types are guys like Skylar Bell from Connecticut or Zion Young, where a big chunk of their production came at the very end. Those are guys where the data actually says more buyer beware, and players like the Peter Woods and TJ Parkers of the world, who maybe peaked early, actually become a good buy low. So we'll see how it all plays out. I get the reasons why he fell to 29, and I get that I would rather see better testing numbers, and I would rather have seen better final year production. But I think it's a good move for Kansas City here at 29.
I think it is very interesting to me, the decisions that Kansas City had. I thought that Matt Verderame made a very strong point earlier about how the draft can go down different paths. And depending on what you choose and if it works or not, it tells the story. The Chiefs had kind of 2 of those inflection points in this year's draft. They had the one at 29 where they took Peter Woods. They could have got Omar Cooper. They also could have got Keldrick Falk, who was a pass rusher that ended up going to the Tennessee Titans. They made their decision. They then come back up at 40. They made the decision to take R. Mason Thomas. They could have got him. They also had the chance to go get Cassius Howe, who is from the city. I mean, would have been a very popular selection if they had went to go him. He went to Rockhurst. Or they could have got Zion Young, who went to Missouri. Rob, they had 2 of these points in the top, really in their top 3 picks. They could have stayed there at 9 and got Caleb Downs. They could have drafted the pass rusher, could have got the wide receiver. Now, you only get a limited amount of resources, and solving one problem still leaves a problem somewhere else. This is the path that they have chosen, but there were a couple of different points that this draft could have gone.
I feel like that is something we will monitor with Albert Breer's reporting. The Chiefs, Matt Verderame said it. I believe it was Brett Veach said it in the post-round 1 press conference. They're monitoring Bain. They're monitoring Tate. Obviously, they're monitoring Delane. And Albert Breer said the Chiefs were interested in Chris Johnson, who got drafted late in the first round by the Dolphins. We will now monitor it. If Reuben Bain and Chris Johnson are stars at their respective teams, or Caleb Downs is a star with the Cowboys, and Monster Delane is just solid, the Chiefs went wrong. But if Delane is Patrick Surtain, it doesn't matter what, Downs or Bain or Chris Johnson turn into. The Chiefs gave up all that capital. They have to be right. But as stories leak out more and more, we get an idea of, what other things were in the hopper for the Chiefs? And it feels like Chris Johnson, Reuben Bain, Caleb Downs, some combination of those three was their backup plan behind Monster Delane.
We are still keeping it to go. It is believed that it is down to 2 schools. It is between Kansas and Kentucky. I think a lot of people in the know believe that he is going to go to Kansas. We will go to that announcement once it happens. In true NBA fashion, they tell you a time, and it's never the time that they tell you. That's just kind of how that league gets down.
Charles right now is talking about that 3-1 Knicks series, 2-2 Knicks series. It isn't even on ESPN tonight. Classic behavior by inside the NBA.
I am looking forward to the Knicks and Hawks. I mean, it is inside the NBA. They're getting you ready for the NBA playoff game. I can't really be mad at that.
It's a game not on their network, which is just unique to me, I guess.
Let me play for you guys what Brett Veach had to say. Here he goes talking about investing in their defensive line.
A plethora of defensive linemen across the board, and what we like about Peter is he's a versatile guy. He has strength and power, but he's also athletic and has some pass rush. And look, he's one of the younger guys in the draft. I think he just turned 21. Super big upside with him, and have invested on the offensive line over the years, and that old blueprint O-line, D-line, and then worked from the corner receiver and all that. But we've done that with the O-line, and we're going to continue to do that with the D-line now. And we just want to add numbers and talent across the board. And get Omar coming back now, and now you have Peter Woods, and now you have Chris Jones, and now you have Tonga. It looks a lot different than it did last year already. And we still have some more picks to go, and hopefully we can keep adding.
When you are looking at this team, the reason why I use the word refresh with this team as the word that I would use to describe their draft, I mean, they have radically changed their secondary by letting Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson go. They have radically changed their defensive line as well. So George Karlaftis played the highest number of snaps on the D-line. Chris Jones was second. I mean, they were 1 snap apart from each other. So basically they played the same. There was a pretty big gap from Jones to who was in third place, Charles Omenihu. He is not on the roster. Ashton Gelati last year played in about 46% of the snaps. A lot of those happened late in the season. So what's his snap usage going to go up? And then you start to go from there. I think the Chiefs just quite simply had to free themselves from this grouping. They had to free themselves from Mike Dana, Jerry Tillery, Derek Noddy, Mike Pennell. They had to free themselves from that grouping. I feel like they were stuck, and they were just rotating those same guys. Noddy would leave. They would bring him back. Mike Pennell would leave. They would bring him back. They were just stuck in this sort of hamster wheel when it came to those individuals. I think they needed to get outside of their comfort zone, and now you look at it. I mean, they've completely retooled and blown a little bit of fresh air back into that defensive front. So let's see if it works this year. Again, I still want them to go get Cam Jordan. I still want them to go get a veteran to throw into the mix. But the Chiefs, I think, identified what some of the problems were last year and showed an aggressiveness in going out and trying to fix those problems. They were aggressive at running back. They were also aggressive on their defensive line. Let's see if it works this year. We are still waiting to figure out where Tyran Stokes is going to play basketball. I mean, they have to do it before 6 o'clock because the NBA playoffs get going at 6 o'clock. So I imagine in the next segment, we'll find out together. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison, the go-to show for dating advice you didn't ask for.
If you got to ask your girl to help on the bill on Valentine's Day, you've done something wrong.
On your home for Kansas City sports, 96.5, The Fan.
Liberty Mutual customized this song for you. Like your car insurance, it's custom too, yeah. Liberty Mutual's got the coverage that could save you money. Thanks to Doug and Limu, well now you can go and take that cruise. Liberty, 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 yeah.
Hi, I'm Lacey, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. And yes, I'm actually a jeweler. I bring dream engagement rings to life every day in our jeweler workshop. When I hand set your diamond into your ring, I think about creating a piece you'll wear for a lifetime. I pay attention to the smallest details and treat every ring with the same care and craftsmanship, no matter the size or price. Come see us in store. Shane Company engagement rings are crafted with care from our hands to yours. Because a friend wants your ring to be nothing short of perfect. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Vicky Stevens writes, "We weren't happy with the way things turned out last season, so I made the call. Weedman's been a total game changer. Fertilization, weed control, the whole 9 yards. Our lawn has never looked better. The neighbors are so jealous, they avoid me at the supermarket. It's fantastic. Go to weedman.com, enter promo code GREEN, and get 1 free service."
DQ presents the $7 meal deal, a delicious meal serving up serious value. We're talking 100% white meat, seasoned chicken strips, full-size fries, a drink, and of course, a classic DQ sundae. Because come on, no meal is complete without a sweet treat. All for just $7. And now you can try it with the new honey sriracha dip. The DQ $7 meal deal, a satisfying meal full of big flavor for great value. DQ, happy tastes good.
This is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Chiefs football.
All right, Rob is telling me that Tyran Stokes is on the television. We are going to go live to the announcement. He is deciding between Kansas and Kentucky. Here's the #1 high school basketball recruit.
Before Tyron, you get into there's one thing I do want to say. This is the proudest month I've had in a long time, because knowing Tyron since 11, but not only him on that same team at 11 years old. Malloy was there. He's going to UNC. C.J. Harper was on that team. He's going to Old Dominion. Caleb Holt, who was the McDonald's game MVP, is going to Arizona. Caden Allen was going to Georgia Tech. And then we had Tyron, obviously, about to now. And then we had Cortez Redding-Diggy, who was signed as the defensive back for the University of Miami. So that was on one 11-year-old team. I knew we were good, but I didn't think we were that damn good.
Now let's give Tyron a chance to talk and just take me through this process, okay, of building toward naming where you're going to go. And it's all over. I was amazed at how much stuff there is on the internet, all wondering with the question marks and wondering which way you're leaning. So who has it come down to, and tell me about the process of getting here?
Honestly, it's been a long process, ever since, I got my first offer, I think, going into high school, so, 8th grade summer. So ever since then, just...
I'm going to let you talk into this.
Having college coaches talk to me, having to, build relationships with different coaches is, it takes a lot, just for a young kid to have to deal with, because we never had to deal with something like that before. So just being able to, listen to people like my mom, my agent and stuff like that on the side, and just have conversations, and, just think and talk to God, and, I'll get the closer to shit.
So it came down to who would the finalists be? I mean, I'm here in Kansas and Kentucky. Is there a third in there? Is Oregon in that mix? What's up?
Yeah. I dropped the top 3, I think, in November. So, for me, I would say those have been the remaining 3.
I'll take this back because I believe yours is working now.
Okay, bet.
And
I got another question for Tyron. In 7th grade, they started. He went from being oh, he's one of those good kids. Then in 7th grade, they were like, no, he's the #1, 2 player in the country. 7th grade. How did you keep your focus and not be caught up into being now going to, that's 5 years of being this guy that everybody's chasing?
Honestly, a lot of people look at the rankings and they're like, oh, I need to be ranked this, I need to be ranked that. I look at it as just a number, It's a bunch of people's opinions. Me, I know I gotta keep working hard to get to where I want to be. I'm not at the NBA yet, so, that's my ultimate dream. So as long as I keep working hard, they'll see they'll see my game, they'll recognize me. But being the #1 player in the country is just a label that I don't really.
Well, it's a good label.
It's a great label to have, but I don't like to say, oh, I'm the #1 player in the country, blah blah blah. Like when people ask me, oh, who are you? I just tell them I'm a soccer player.
As a youngster, you're still young, but when you started to play basketball, who did you mimic and who did you idolize as a player?
My favorite player growing up was KD, all the time. You ask my mom, I love KD, so I used to always want to tween, hezzy, pool. That was just the favorite move that, me and my friends always try to do, so I'd definitely say KD.
Yeah, and shout out to Mom who's here.
I was going to say.
I'll tell you, one time, his mom, when he was in 6th grade, she said she's going to work us out and train us. She had all the coaches doing boxing with her. They only lasted for a day because nobody was like, we're not doing this again. She had us going through this whole workout, and we were like, no, we're done with the workouts with Tyron's mom. That's done. We just going to coach him.
Have you got the video ready to go here? Mom, you ready? Because I think it's that time, isn't it? Want to make your announcement, Tyron?
Yes, indeed.
Man, I'm ready. This is what I've been waiting for. But, first I would just like to, thank you guys for having me on the show. I would thank, NBA Tip-Off for having me. I thank my partners, Panini and 2K for, giving me this opportunity.
Panini is a great company.
Great company, great trading cards. I got, some for you guys. You can pass that down. Got 2 for you.
Okay, we got Tyran Stokes cards.
Got 2 for you.
Yes,
These things could be worth a lot of money.
Yes, indeed. We're going to hold these.
I'm going to definitely hold these.
I would
These
love.
the only ones?
Right now.
Hey. You a lucky guy. You got them first. That's all you need to know. Oh, but first, I would just like to, thank God, thank my mom. He put me in this position, to feed my family, provide, and, just give me an opportunity to meet great people. Open a lot of doors for me. I'm just great, just to, let that ball take me all across the world and just give me opportunity. It's been a long journey. I'm grateful, but, with that being said, hold on. Gotta make sure my shades is on right. You feel me? But hold on.
Yeah, this is dramatic. We got to see what it is.
There's a lot of blue over there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't get too excited.
Oh, that's...
Hold on, that's taking a little time. Okay, cool, but...
Did you know who is it? You know who's in there?
Nah, it's like a gender reveal kind of,
Don't worry about it. Future, you have so much money, you can get somebody on the rap stuff for you.
But with that being said, I'm taking my talents to University of Kansas University.
Oh!
Rock chalk, man. Rock chalk. You feel me? Rock chalk.
The decision has been made. Tyron Stokes is going to play basketball at the University of Kansas. It certainly felt like it has been trending that way for quite some time. It is now over. He is going to Kansas. Rob, how are you feeling after getting the commitment of the #1 high school basketball recruit? He has decided to take his talents to the Hawk.
Also, real quick, I'm very excited. Salvages what has been a not great portal season for Kansas. Best player in college basketball. He is a NASCAR driver with all these NIL things. He's got Panini cards. You don't have it up in there. He's got a special 2K NBA game with his face on it in Kansas. He's got special sunglasses. It's like a NASCAR driver with NIL endorsements in there, but Tyron Stokes of Kansas is great as a Kansas fan, and now get a few pieces around him, and Kansas can be a 2 or 3 seed next season. I don't know if they're a 1 seed, but they are definitely better positioned now than they were 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that Kansas hasn't maybe always had the most success when it comes to, you cannot pass on these kind of guys. He is the absolute best high school player in the country. You have to go get him. He has a chance to be the #1 overall pick. You will take those recruits every single time. Now, the responsibility is going to be, how do you build around him? How do you put him in the best possible position? But, I mean, this is you had to go do this move. He's the #1 overall high school player, and he is now attending the University of Kansas. This was big for Kansas. I think this is the major reason why Bill came back. I think we've known for quite some time, if you keep up with this, I think you've known that Tyran Stokes was going to KU. I think that played a major part with Bill. I still think Bill has a lot of life left in coaching. I still think he still has a lot of fire. And if you're going to tell me that we're in a position to keep getting these kinds of recruits and these kinds of kids, yeah, I'll keep coming back.
It's also a coup for Kansas because we were talking about this earlier. Maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, Kansas does not overcome the Nike Adidas hurdle. Now, I know that like later in the process, you heard it wasn't a big deal. This kid has been a Nike kid every step of the way. As a Kansas fan, I can name 15 kids that I wanted to come to Kansas that had no chance because he was Nike. This is a huge coup for Kansas to get not only a great player to come to Lawrence, that happens in Kansas a lot, but a Nike kid to turn down a Nike school to come to Kansas is a huge win for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how the sport is just evolving in that way. Like, At this point, I'm going to guess that the offers between Kansas and Kentucky are comparable. Like, he's not leaving no money on the table. I'm not watching it, but if you're telling me he got an NIL deal with Nike and Panini and 2K and all these things, like, this is not a money thing. This is a where Kansas is as a program versus where Kentucky is as a program. This is a nod to the Big 12 that is it is a better basketball conference than the SEC. This is a commitment to the brand that Kansas is and what they have. I mean, this is a really big deal to get a player like this.
This is a huge win for now. Still need to add talent around him. They can't be done. It can't be Stokes and vibes. It's got to be go get a shooter, go get another wing to go next to Stokes. But this does calm a little bit of my nerves about what has been an uneasy process when recruiting for Kansas.
Yeah, they need like a Trey White this year is what they need. Like, they need one of those. I would say they probably also need I think they need like another 6'7" wing. I mean, I think every team could use one of those. They could probably use another one. If Kansas gets those two things, they're in good shape for next year. But you at least know who the dog's going to be. You at least know who your leading scorer is, last second, who's going to take the shot. You got that kid today in for his commitment. We appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have more analysis about this. We'll also continue to wrap up our draft coverage. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.